How would you rate the new Brewster broadcasters?
Under 500 for the first time all year, but back at Lowell Park on a Sunday evening on the 4th of July weekend. The Cotuit Kettleers welcome in the Hyannis Harbor Hawks for the first time this season at Lowell Park in matchup number 2 of the 2017 Barnstable Patriot Cup. Good Sunday afternoon to you all out there, wherever you may be tuning in or listening from. Matt Rigby with you on the Cotuit Kettleers video network, radio network, and on Comcast Channel 99. And I'll be joined momentarily on the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show by my broadcast partner, Will Greer. Mentioned it in the lead, but Cottuit is under 500 for the first time all year. They've gone just 4-9 in their last 13 after starting 4-0. They are now 8-9 on the season, and they find themselves 2 games out of first place in the Western Division, 2 games behind both the Bourne Braves and the Falmouth Commodores, who took care of Cottuit last night at Arnie Allen Diamond by a score of 6-3. The good news for Cottuit, they welcome in a Hyannis Harbor Hawks team tonight that's even worse record-wise than they are and has struggled even more than Cottuit has recently. In fact, Hyannis gave up 17 runs last night at Eldridge Park, and they gave up 13 in the first 3 innings. That's on the heels of giving up 12 a few nights ago to Cottuit in the Kettleers' 12-6 victory over the Harbor Hawks at McKeon Park. Hyannis enters tonight with the worst ERA in the entire league. They've given up the second most walks, they have the second worst whip, and they have the fewest strikeouts. So Cottuit, who's been mired in a bit of an offensive slump, has just the right medicine, I would suppose, tonight to get out of that slump and touch up the Harbor Hawks pitching staff yet again. Just to quantify that slump for Cottuit, going back 7 days ago when the Kettleers traveled to Eldridge Park to take on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks for a doubleheader to take on the Orleans Firebirds, for a doubleheader in Orleans. The Kettleers were hitting .293. That was best in the Cape League overall. Since then, over the course of the last 7 days, the Kettleers have seen their collective team batting average drop a whole 32 points. They're now just hitting .261 as a team entering tonight's game. That's 7th best in the Cape League, so they've dropped from 1st to 7th, and they've struggled in almost every facet. If you take out the 12-6 victory over Hyannis, the Kettleers are averaging just 2 runs per game over the course of the last week. Even if you include that 12-6 victory over Hyannis, Cottuit is scoring just 3.4 runs per game. And they've been beat around a little bit as well. They gave up 11 runs to Wareham a couple nights ago here at Lowell Park. The game before that at Lowell Park, they gave up 13 runs to Orleans. And so they'll look to get back to their winning ways at Lowell Park for the first time in a while against the Harbor Hawks tonight. Cottuit hasn't pitched it too well either overall, although last night's starter Jason Billis probably had the best start that any Kettleer has had so far this year. Cottuit still enters tonight with the second to last ERA in the Cape League staff-wide. That is better than just Hyannis. Hyannis enters play tonight, though, with an ERA that's almost a full run higher than Cottuit. Hyannis has a 5.73 team ERA, quite unsustainable. Cottuit has a 4.83. Cottuit has the 3rd worst whip, 3rd fewest strikeouts, 4th fewest walks, and a .285 batting average against, which is worst in the Cape League by a whole 14 points. If this sounds like a little bit of a doom and gloom pregame show, it's because both of these teams are in a bit of a skid. The good news, though, is that the Kettleers will have their best hitter back tonight. Griffin Conine was able to make it from Epley Airfield all the way to Logan International Airport in the span of a day. Then he made it from Logan International Airport all the way to Lowell Park. We saw Griffin putting his belt on about 15 minutes ago, just behind us in the parking lot here at Lowell Park. He's penciled into Mike Roberts' starting lineup tonight, hitting in the leadoff hole once again. And the Kettleers hope that he can give that offense a much-needed jolt. Reviewing last night's game just a bit further, Falmouth posted runs in the bottom of the 1st and the bottom of the 2nd. Alex Bohm hit a solo home run with 2 outs off of Jason Billis in that bottom of the first. Then in the bottom of the second, Falmouth scored an unearned run against Billis in an inning he should have been out of. Cottuit responded with one of their own in the top of the fourth. Falmouth added one more in the bottom of the sixth. Then John Cresto had what was at the time the biggest hit for the Kettleers probably in about a week, maybe even the biggest hit of the season. Cresto hammered a 2-run home run over the left field wall at Arnie Allen Diamond, tied the game at 3 at the time. Then the Kettleers gave up 3 more in the bottom of the sixth. The culprit once again was Alex Bohm, who hit a 3-run opposite field home run off of Christian Demby. It made the score 6-3, and that was ultimately the final. For Hyannis, I already mentioned that they lost quite handily last night. They gave up 17 runs to the Orleans Firebirds at Eldridge Park, did the Harbor Hawks. The final score at Eldridge Park last night was 17-3, and we were told by the Hyannis broadcasters before tonight's game that it got so bad that Ryan Olenek, who is normally a position player out of Ole Miss for the Harbor Hawks and who is actually in the lineup tonight for Hyannis at first base, came on to pitch the final 2 innings, and the Harbor Hawks eventually had 2 pitchers who played in the field. Orleans got 3 in the first, 6 in the second, 2 in the third, and they added 2 more in the fifth and 4 in the ninth to rout the Harbor Hawks. We'll get into this a little bit more as the night goes on, but it was the first time that a team in the Cape League had scored 17 runs or more in over 4 years. So the Harbor Hawks looking to quickly flush that one down the toilet and looking to jockey back into third place if they can pick up a victory over Cottuit tonight. It's a very clogged 3 through 5 in the Cape League's Western Division. Cottuit enters tonight clinging to just a slim 1 game and 2-point margin over Wareham as they look to stave off the Gatemen for a playoff spot in the West. Again, 4 out of the 5 teams get in the West, and right now it looks like it's a 3-man dance for 2 spots between Cottuit, Hyannis, and Wareham. Lots of baseball still left to play. We're not even at the halfway point in the season. We'll get there as we approach July 4th, and Cottuit looks to get back on track tonight as they continue their string of games in a row against the Cape League's Western Division. We'll step aside for the first time. We'll come back with segment number 2 of the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Matt Rigby back on the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show on the Cotuit Kettleers video network. Segment number 2 as we roll right along in anticipation of first pitch on this Sunday evening from Lowell Park. First pitch scheduled for about 10 minutes from now between Hyannis and Cottuit in the second of 6 scheduled matchups in the 2017 Barnstable Patriot Cup. Cottuit leads the Barnstable Patriot Cup by a score, I guess, of 1-0 so far this year, thanks to a 12-6 victory a few nights ago at McKeon Park in these two teams' first matchup of the season. Before Will Greer takes over for tonight's starting pitching matchup and starting lineups, I want to run you through the out-of-town scoreboard in anticipation of 4 more games that will be played across Cape Cod tonight. This will be the first game of the night here at Lowell Park, but because it's Sunday evening, we have quite a few starts that are earlier than normal at other parks around Cape Cod. Wareham starts at 5:30 tonight as they tangle with YD. The Gatemen, after their 11-0 victory over Cottuit a couple nights ago here at Lowell Park, dropped the game last night to Bourne to to fall to 7-10 on the year and to allow the Braves to move to 10-7. YD, meanwhile, has won their last 2 to keep pace with Orleans as they are just a point behind the Firebirds for first place in the East, and they have the second most points in the Cape League overall due to the Red Sox. It's Hogan Harris making the start for the Red Sox and Justin Montgomery, who's 2-0 with a 0.00 ERA, making the start for Wareham. Chatham and Harwich complete the back end of their home and home. Last night at Veterans Field, Harwich walked in the winning run to end the game in the bottom of the 9th. For the Mariners, it was their 5th loss in a row. Chatham is now a game and a half clear of Harwich for the 4th and final playoff spot in the Cape League's Eastern Division, and Harwich is 5-11-1 overall on the year. Making the start for Chatham, Jacob Stevens. Making the start for Harwich, Tyler Baum. That gets going at 5:30. Brewster and the white-hot Orleans Firebirds. The Orleans Firebirds, who have scored 39 runs in their last 3 games and have won 10 out of 11. Orleans will host Brewster at 5:30 p.m. at Eldridge Park. Davis Daniel makes the start for the Whitecaps, who've lost 2 in a row, and Ryan Rollison makes the start for Orleans. The only other game across Cape Cod tonight, 6 p.m. start at Doran Park as Falmouth takes on Bourne. We'll step aside, and when we come back on the Cotuit Kettleers video network, Will Greer will have tonight's starting pitching matchup and starting lineups. You're watching the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show.
Back at beautiful Lowell Park on this Sunday afternoon from Cotuit, Massachusetts. Will Greer
program, that number is far and away the highest total of any staff in the Cape League. Continues to be a problem night in and night out. The 1-1 pitch now. Fastball that Coffey swings through at 89 miles an hour, and it's 1-2. Kinnaman, Lewis, and Conine, just to complete that defensive thought, left to right in the outfield for the Kettleers. Cone at third for his second start this year. The 1-2 pitch. Coffey swings and gets just a piece, fouling it back towards the screen, as we'll do it again. Third start this year at third for Cone. Check that. Cresto, as was mentioned, is at first. And the double play combination is Avant and Alexander at short and second respectively, with Martellini behind the dish as Terran Vavra gets a night off tonight against the lefty starter. Long stare in here for Hooper before the 1-2. He comes set, checks the runner at second. Now the kick and the pitch to Coffey. Fastball misses outside, pops out of the mid of Martellini, and moving up another 90 feet will be Jake Mangum. Got to figure that one will go down as a passed ball. I'll check on that online in a second, as our buddy Brian Clemenson is the official scorer tonight at Lowell Park. If I know Brian like I think I do, that'll be a pass ball. And now the potential first run of the game is just 90 feet away as the Kettleers bring the infield in. The 2-2 pitch to Coffey, breaking ball. Coffey swings and loops it back out of play, foul, as the count remains at 2-2. A phantom shattered glass sound effect being played here over the Lowell Park speakers, and that's because that ball was pretty close to hitting not a parked car but a moving car.
2 feet away from hitting the hood of that white pickup back behind the backstop. 2 feet, Matt.
Count your blessings. The 2-2 to Coffey. Breaking ball, swing and a miss, and Coffey is down on strikes. Justin Hooper went with the slider there at 80 miles an hour. He had Coffey absolutely fooled, and he's got a huge second out with Hunter Stovall, the batter.
Just a tremendous pitch from Hooper that time. Into the lefty. Oh, it's almost unhittable. It looks like it's going to hang up in the strike zone, and then at the last second, just tails down and away. And Coffey was mighty fooled that time, kind of nodded out to Hooper, and not amazement with that pitch, but just he was really impressed at that breaking ball from Justin, I think.
So now the infield backs up again for the Kettleers, as Mangum takes his lead at third. The first pitch to Stovall, another breaking ball, and another swing and a miss. First strike one. Hunter Stovall has the not-so-envious distinction of being one of the shortest players in the entire Cape League this summer. He stands just 5'8", 170 pounds from the right side. And that's soaking wet. Playing second base tonight out of Mississippi State. Swings at the 0-1. Another breaking ball and another miss. It's 0-2. Saw Jason Billis, the starter last night for the Kettleers, induce 20 swings and misses. That was over 5 1/3. Justin Hooper so far tonight already with 4 swings and misses in this first inning alone. Looking for another here. The kick in the 0-2. Chopped towards third. Waiting on it, Cone. He gloves it on a second hop and fires across the diamond in time to get Stovall by a half a step. Side retired. Justin Hooper works around a leadoff double. Nothing comes across for Hyannis in that half inning. No errors and 1 runner left. We move to the home half of the first at Lowell Park on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Home half of the first we go from Lowell Park on this Sunday evening. No score after 1/2 inning of play as Justin Hooper works around a leadoff double in the top of the first from Reese Hampton. And leading off for the Kettleers in the bottom of the first is Griffin Conine. Griffin Conine has missed the last 2 games for the Kettleers, but he caught a flight in case you're just joining us from Omaha this morning. He arrived at Logan International about 3 or 4 hours ago, made the trek down to Cape Cod on what was probably a clogged Route 6 on a Sunday evening, and now he's here in the lineup. Swings at the first pitch, grounds it towards short. Up with it is Proctor, and he fires onto Olenek in time to retire Conine 1 away. So 1 pitch, 1 out is how the night begins on the mound for Jacob Martinson. And that'll bring up Chandler Avant. Jordan Martinson, check that. Avant, a .250 hitter entering play tonight. Takes the first pitch up and away at 88 miles an hour from Martinson. And it's 1-0. Martinson just finished up his sophomore season at Dallas Baptist. Avant swings and chops the 1-0 back behind the plate. It's 1-1. 81 innings logged for Martinson. He pitched to a 9-4 record and a .478 ERA. Had trouble with the long ball, gave up 8 in 81 innings as Avant takes a big swing at it 1-1 and comes up empty 1-2. High strikeout pitcher is Martinson, 76 of those compared to 35 walks. 1-2, Avant waits on it and hammers it to straightaway center. That'll get down in front of Hampton for a base hit. So Chandler Avant with a similar swing to the one he put on the ball last night at Arnie Allen Diamond that ended up in a double to straightaway center back in the 4th. He's got a single here, and the Kettleers have 1 on with 1 out for John Cresto. Cresto back up into the 3 spot in the lineup this evening after a stretch of 3 games in which he hit 8th, 6th, and 8th respectively. First pitch to Cresto, breaking ball misses low and away for ball 1. It was a much, much better night for John at the plate last night, not just in the box score, but also in some of the finer details. Obviously, Cresto picked up 2 hits, one of which was a 2-run home run. The 1-0. He swings and hammers it to straightaway left center, backing up the left fielder Robinson. Robinson looking up. That'll bounce up against the wall, and Robinson has to dig it out. Rounding second and moving to third is Avant. He's going to be waved home, and he comes home without a throw as John Cresto scores the first run of the game on an RBI double. For Cresto, it's RBI number 15 on the season as he stays hot. And for the Kettleers, it's their first lead since they led in Hyannis a few nights ago. Anyway, just to finish up that point on Cresto from last night, Will, for the first time in a game all season, John Cresto did not swing and miss. He offered it 5 pitches and connected on all 5. Connects again here in the bottom of the first. Zach Cohn connects on the first pitch he sees, dunks a blooper into shallow center. That gets down in front of Hampton for a base hit. Cresto moves up to third and stops there. And Zach Cohn breaks out of what was a huge slump. Cohn was just 1 for his last 24. But he gets a single here in the bottom of the first, and the Kettleers have runners on the corners with only 1 out for Gian Martellini.
Kettleers have already equaled their hit total from the last time they were at Lowell Park on Friday against Wareham. They had 3 hits in that ball game and 3 in this bottom half of the first. A lot of good approaches, a lot of good contact so far against Martinson.
A lot of early swings so far, too, for the Kettleers. First pitch to Gian Martellini. He's swinging, pops it up into shallow center. Now moving back a little bit is Hampton into the left center field gap, makes the catch. It's deep enough for Cresto to tag, and he'll come in with the second run of the game on an RBI sac fly from Gian Martellini. The throw was cut off from Hampton. He wasn't even trying to get it to the plate anyway. And the Kettleers have pushed 2 across against Martinson here in the bottom of the first, with still 1 on for Gian Martellini. For Brett Kinnaman.
And how about Gian, who now moves into second place on the Kettleers roster with 11 RBIs. He's been a runs batted in machine the last couple nights.
First pitch to Brett Kinnaman. Breaking ball that he takes for a strike, 0-1. Mentioned it earlier in this half inning. Terran Vavra is getting the night off tonight. He's the only Kettleer who's getting the night off and who is available off the bench for Cottuit. As Martinson kicks and fires the 1-0, Kinnaman fishes at it and comes up empty, 0-2. And Vavra is not hitting too well against lefties so far this season, so it makes sense to give him the night off. The problem is a couple other Kettleer lefties not hitting too well against left-handed pitching either. The 0-2 right down the middle. Kinnaman takes it for strike 3. Runner went, but that throwdown doesn't matter because that strikeout of Brett Kinnaman brings an end to the half inning. Just to finish up that point really quickly, Brett Kinnaman entered tonight 143 hitter against lefties and a 345 hitter against righties. He looked a little lost against Martinson there. The good news, though, Kettleers push across 2 in the bottom of the first on the strength of 3 hits, the biggest of which was an RBI double for John Cresto. And after 1 inning of play, Cotuit leads Hyannis by a score of 2-0 on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Justin Hooper back onto the mound for Cottuit as we move to the second, and he's staked to a 2-0 lead. Hooper worked around a leadoff double in the top of the first, and then his Kettleer bats picked him up in the bottom half of the inning as Cottuit picks up 2 runs on 3 hits, an RBI double from John Cresto, and a sacrifice fly off the bat of Gian Martellini. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you from Lowell Park on this Sunday evening, just after the 5 o'clock hour in Cotuit, Massachusetts, and the first pitch of the top of the second tails low and outside to Daniel Robinson. Out of the left hand of Hooper, it's 1-0. Robinson, Olenek, and Ford Proctor. 5, 6, and 7, the 3 up for Hyannis. So Hooper kicks and delivers the 1-0. It's a fastball swung through and missed by Daniel Robinson, as home plate umpire Joe Caraco says that Robinson got just a piece, and it's 1-1. 1-1 pitch, swung and grounded through the box. Moving to his right is Alexander. He gloves it, spins, throws in time to get the speedy Robinson for out number 1. So 4 outs now for Justin Hooper, 3 of them on the ground. And that'll bring up Ryan Olenek. Mentioned this in the pregame show, but in case you're just tuning in, Ryan Olenek had a pretty strange night last night at Eldridge Park. Olenek, who is playing first tonight, was in the starting lineup for Hyannis at first last night as well. The first pitch misses down and into Olenek, 1-0. Olenek ultimately went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, but first base wasn't the final position Olenek would play in a 17-3 loss for the Harbor Hawks at Eldridge Park. He swings at the 1-0 pitch here, flies it to straightaway right. Conine has it measured and makes the easy one-handed catch for out number 2. Olenek ultimately came onto the mound. That's right, position players pitching at Eldridge Park last night in a 17-3 blowout. Olenek worked the final inning for Hyannis, and his line was pretty ugly. 3 hits, 4 runs. They were all earned, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout to give him a 36 Cape League ERA that will probably remain on his ledger for the rest of the summer. First pitch to Ford Proctor, the batter now, is a breaking ball over for a strike, and it's 0-1. Also mentioned this in the pregame, but Orleans scored 17 runs last night. The 0-1 pitch to Proctor is fouled back behind the screen, 0-2. Firebirds became the first team since the Firebirds to score 17 runs or more in a Cape League game since 2013. Orleans did that early in the 2013 season. As the 0-2 misses low and in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bourne also had 18 runs and an 18-3, or Falmouth had 18 runs and an 18-3 victory over Bourne in that 2013 season as well. The 1-2 pitch now to Proctor. Breaking ball doesn't break. It hits Proctor in the back. And Ford Proctor trots on down to first, the recipient of a hit by pitch. So we've seen twice now a Justin Hooper breaking ball that just kind of stays flat and never ultimately comes back down into the zone. We saw it in the first inning with Jake Mangum at the plate. Excuse me, that was with Micah Coffey at the plate, a breaking ball that went behind Coffey altogether into the backstop. This one had a little more bite as it bends in enough to hit Proctor and give Hyannis a 2-out base runner. Batter now will be Dom DiCaprio. DiCaprio, the second straight Rice Owl to bat for the Harbor Hawks. DiCaprio catching tonight, batting from the right side. Check swing at the first pitch, check down to first, and he didn't go, as the count goes to 1-0. DiCaprio just 5 for his first 33 so far this year. That's a 152 average. But he was 2 for 3 a few nights ago against Cottuit. The 1-0 pitch misses low at 81 miles an hour from Hooper, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. DiCaprio actually reached base 3 of the 4 times he came to the plate in that 12-6 loss at McKeon Park on Thursday. 2-0 pitch. DiCaprio tied in a knot as Hooper's slider fooled him there. It's a swing and a miss, and it's 2-1. And that means that DiCaprio's now reached just 8 times this year. And 3 of those 8 times came in one game against the Kettleers. He is strikeout prone, 13 of those so far this year in 33 at-bats. There's the 2-1 pitch, another breaking ball that misses down and in for ball 3. Robert Newstrom in the on-deck circle would be next if DiCaprio can keep the inning going. You could argue that even though he's in the 9-hole tonight, Robert Newstrom has been the best hitter for Hyannis so far this season. 3-1 pitch, throw over, ball gets away from the first baseman Cresto up the right field line, and so scampering up to second base will be Ford Proctor. It'll go down as an error, not sure on who exactly. It'll either be on Hooper or Cresto. Will Greer points to John, and I'd tend to agree. As John initially had that ball in his mitt, it was certainly catchable, but it popped out. And now Hyannis has a runner in scoring position. We'll see with first base open and a 3-1 count just how careful Justin Hooper is with Dom DiCaprio here. The 3-1 pitch, fastball right down the middle. DiCaprio hammers it down the third base line. Fair ball underneath Cohn's glove and into left field. Rounding third and coming in to score is Ford Proctor. Moving up to second on the throw is Dom DiCaprio. It's an RBI double for DiCaprio with 2 outs. And Hyannis cuts into the Kettleer lead. It's now 2-1.
Really tough luck run that time for Justin Hooper. On that last play, the pickoff attempt, it looked like Cresto maybe had it in his glove, and the ball kind of trickled out once he made contact with the left hip of Ford Proctor at first. Just a really tough luck play. That obviously got Proctor into scoring position, and then DiCaprio with a well-placed ground ball down the third base line to bring home Ford Proctor and make the score 2-1.
I'd have to believe that with Proctor still at first base, that ball wouldn't have scored Proctor, as Brett Kinnaman did a really good job running over to the left field foul line and cutting it off. Kinnaman then got it back into the infield rather quickly. Kinnaman does have a good arm as well, so I don't think Chad Gassman, who mans the third base coaching box for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, would have had a mind to send Proctor there. Moral of the story, you're right, Will. That error on the pickoff attempt proving costly. First pitch to Robert Newstrom, swung on and grounded towards second. Alexander picks it off the ground, gathers himself, and fires onto first in time to retire the side. Hyannis picks up a hit on the strength of a 2-out double from Dom DiCaprio. There were no errors, a hit batsman in the inning, and 1 runner left on base. After 1.5, the score Cottuit 2 and Hyannis 1. And round number 2 of the 2017 Barnstable Patriot Cup from Lowell Park on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Bottom third of the order due up for Cottuit as we move to the bottom of the second. 2-1, Kettleers lead the Harbor Hawks here on this Sunday evening from Lowell Park. Jordan Martinson back onto the mound for Hyannis. First batter he faces in the bottom of the second, Miles Lewis, and the first pitch Lewis sees is a 69-mile-an-hour curveball that bends in at the knees for strike 1. Lewis, Alexander, and Dillard. Pair of switch hitters with Alexander, the righty, sandwiched in between. The 0-1 pitch to Lewis, fastball that he swings and grounds towards third. Nice play by Coffey on a dive, but now he just has to eat it as it goes into left field for a base hit. I couldn't see it. Apparently that got underneath Coffey's glove. And so it's a leadoff single for Miles Lewis.
It was a nice attempt that time from Coffey, the third baseman, but looked like he didn't get his glove down in time. That ball trickling under his glove into left field. Sharply hit off the bat of Lewis, though. A nice single to get this second going.
That'll bring up Luke Alexander. Alexander had another hit last night. First pitch to Alexander, breaking ball, and he swings and nubs it off of his foot for strike 1. It was an infield single his first time up. Luke then successfully laid down a sacrifice 5-3 in the fifth and ultimately went 1 for 2. He's now 2 for his last 3 after picking up a pinch hit single a couple nights ago in the 11-0 loss to Wareham. 0-1 pitch. Alexander swings. No, he doesn't. Watches a pitch miss low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you from Lowell Park. Miles Lewis with a small lead off of first. He's running. Throw over. They've got him picked off. The throw to second. Lewis slides underneath the tag and he's safe. It was a good pickoff move there from Jordan Martinson. I think the problem, Will, is that the throw over to the first baseman Olenek was a bit high. Olenek had to climb the ladder to gather it. And then the throw down to Proctor, the shortstop covering at the second base bag, was a bit too late. And Miles Lewis was able to slide underneath, with what will go down as a successful stolen base. So now the Kettleers have a runner in scoring position with nobody out. And Luke Alexander looking to cash in the RBI. One pitch. Alexander squares to bunt, pulls the bat back, and it misses down and in for ball 2. Luke so far this season has just 3 runs driven in for the Kettleers. That's in 10 games and 27 at-bats. He's now 7 for his first 27, a .259 average, and a .286 on-base percentage. The 2-1 pitch, he squares to bunt again, pulls the bat back again, and again the pitch misses. This one up and away at 86 miles an hour, and it's 3-1. First baseman Olenek creeping in along the infield grass, expecting bunt. See if Alexander's still bunting in a 3-1 count here. Spinning a throw over to second. That one almost got into center field from Martinson as he whipped it over to the second baseman Stovall covering. And Lewis is back in. Hampton playing very shallow in center. Robinson and Newstrom in left and right respectively, playing pretty shallow as well. Martinson comes set. The kick in the 3-1. Alexander squares to bunt. Gets it down up the third baseline. Martinson off the mound, gloves it, checks the runner, but instead goes to first, where Alexander's out by a couple strides. It's a successful sacrifice for Alexander for the second time in 2 nights. Miles Lewis moves up to third, and the Kettleers have the third run of the game just 90 feet away with 1 out for Thomas Dillard.
We mentioned it in Alexander's first couple bunt attempts of the season that he didn't look all that comfortable bunting, probably because he hasn't been asked to do so too much in his baseball career, being such a good hitter, but the last couple nights he's looked really good. Certainly Luke developing those bunting skills on Cape Cod for Mike Roberts.
First pitch to Thomas Dillard. He swings, rifles it down the left field line, backing up Robinson, looking up Robinson, and that ball is gone. Thomas Dillard attacks the first pitch he sees from Jordan Martinson and deposits it over the left field wall for a 2-run home run. It's 4-1 Kettleers. Thomas Dillard, who entered tonight just a 149 hitter and just 4 for his first 27, gets his first extra base hit of the year as a Kettleer in potent fashion as he drives in a pair, and it's now 4-1 with the lineup card turned over for Griffin Conine. First pitch to Conine, breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1.
That was a first pitch fastball that Dillard attacked, and it's worth noting that 5 out of the first 9 Kettleers to face Martinson.
The 0-1 swung and popped up by Conine, left side, backing up the shortstop Proctor. Now he comes in, makes the catch a few steps onto the infield dirt for out number 2. Go ahead, Will.
So first time through the lineup, 5 out of the first 9 Kettleers to face Martinson, I was saying, have swung at the first pitch, and the Kettleers have had success doing so. Clearly, guys are timing up the fastball from Jordan Martinson, and that time Dillard putting a really good swing on a first pitch fastball and lacing it over the left center field wall.
Chandler Avant swings at the first pitch. He pops it up towards the right side, giving chase Olenek, but that'll go out of play for strike 1. Clearly part of the initiative for the Kettleers tonight is to swing early and often. It's paid off for Cottuit so far to the tune of 4 runs, and as we still play in the bottom of the second. The 0-1 pitch skips low and into Avant, and it's 1-1. It's now 4 runs on 5 hits through an inning and 2/3 for the Kettleers at the plate. Chandler Avant had one of those 5 hits, as he's the only Kettleer so far tonight who's reached base and hasn't scored. Avant had a single back in the first. Now he awaits the 1-1, the kick and the pitch from Martinson. Fastball, Avant waits on it, hammers it down the left field line, backing up again Robinson, looking up again Robinson, and again it's out of here. Chandler Avant and Thomas Dillard, 2 home runs in the span of 3 batters, and it's 5-1 Kettleers. For Avant, it is home run number 2 of the season. Although you could argue it's home run number 3, depending how you saw the play at Stony Brook Field a couple weeks ago. Either way, Avant will take it as he picks up RBI number 6 on the year and plates the 5th Kettleer run of the game and the 3rd Kettleer run of this bottom of the second. First pitch to John Cresto, a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1. I mentioned it last half inning, but Jordan Martinson was susceptible to the home run ball at Dallas Baptist this year. In just 81 innings, he gave up 8. John Cresto swings at the 0-1 and pounds it foul up the third baseline. It's 0-2. Now in an inning and 2/3, after not pitching in a few weeks in a live game, Jordan Martinson has given up 2 more long balls to the combination of Thomas Dillard and Chandler Avant. Martinson has Cresto 0-2, the kick and the pitch, and John watches it right down the middle for strike 3. Finally, the inning comes to an end for Martinson. Not before your Kettleers score 3 more times, however, on the strength of 3 hits, 2 home runs, 1 from Dillard and 1 from Avant. There were no errors, and there were nobody left on base. We'll move to the third, 5-1 Kettleers. Justin Hooper back onto the mound on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Matt Rigby back with you from Lowell Park as we move to inning number 3 on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. 5-1 Cotuit leads Hyannis on the strength of 2 home runs in the bottom of the third for the Kettleers. 1 a 2-run shot from Thomas Dillard and 1 a solo shot from Chandler Avant.
Yeah, Matt, weather heating up here on Cape Cod, and the Cotuit Bats heating up this afternoon, early evening against Hyannis as Justin Hooper delivers his 29th pitch of the ball game. A fastball that misses outside into Reese Hampton, and it's 1-0. Cone in at third base, Cresto in at first. 5-1 ball game here in the top of the third. Beautiful evening for baseball as the 1-0. Inside fastball at 86 miles an hour. It's 1-1. Really good crowd on hand. Down both the third and first base lines as the 1-1. An inside fastball that this time misses inside. It's 2-1 now on Hampton. Reese so far in this one, 1 for 1 with an opposite field double to lead off the Hyannis half of the first. The 2-1 misses inside, a breaking ball. Inside and low that time, the count 3-1. Hampton, the center fielder out of Charlotte. University of North Carolina at Charlotte, to be more specific. Had the number 3 average in the league coming into this one. 3-1, fastball inside corner at 87 miles an hour, the count 3-2. Cone remains in at third base. Cresto now back a few steps at first. Kettleers perhaps playing the speedy Reese Hampton to maybe bunt here to lead off the Hyannis half of the third. 3-2 count. Hooper taking his time. Gets the sign and fires at 3-2. Fastball swung through, strike 3. 88 miles an hour right over the middle of the zone. Hampton swings and misses. 2 strikeouts now for Hooper. And there's 1 gone for the 2-hitter, Jake Mangum. Nice sequence that time from Justin Hooper. He mixed in some breaking balls with a heavy dose of fastballs into Hampton. And Mangum, the batter, 0 for 1 so far with a fielder's choice ground out. Right back to Justin Hooper. Mangum, the Mississippi State Bulldog, steps in and looks at a first pitch changeup that misses low. Jake came in with the number 10 average in the Cape League. 5 out of the starting 9 for Hyannis in the top 20 average-wise. 1-0 fastball misses outside. Now 2-0 on Mangum. You've got Hampton at number 3, Mangum at number 10, Coffey at number 12, Daniel Robinson, the 5-hitter, at number 18, and Robert Newstrom, the 9-hitter, at number 20. The 2-0 from Hooper. Fastball misses just outside. Thought a late strike call was going to come from home plate umpire Joe Carrico, but that pitch is called a ball, and it's 3-0.
It adds up too well when you look at Hyannis' overall team average.
3-0. Batter shows bunt. That's Mangum, but he just bluffs that time. Takes a pitch for a strike.
Harborhawks enter tonight's game with a .281 team average. That's third best in the Cape League. The problem for Hyannis is that team batting average hasn't necessarily equated to runs.
The 3-1 kick and delivery. Fastball again right over the heart of the zone. 3-2 now on Jake.
Hyannis just 8th in the league in home runs, last in walks drawn, second most strikeouts, and middle of the pack in everything else.
3-2 rocketed right off of Justin Hooper's foot. He falls and now picks up the baseball. Jake Mangum at first with an infield single. That's the second time tonight that Jake Mangum has grounded a pitch sharply off of Justin Hooper. The first one in self-defense, Hooper was able to field, but that pitch hit off of one of his feet, and there's nothing Hooper could do as it deflected back toward home plate. The very speedy Mangum on at first, and now Craig Moody out to meet with Justin Hooper. Hopefully Hooper can stay in this baseball game.
I'm not sure if it was his foot or his midsection where that ball hit Hooper, Will. Got our video people on it so that we can take a look. As you mentioned, Chris Moody out onto the mound to check on Hooper as well. I think, nonetheless, no matter where it hit Hooper, that he got it at least a little bit with his glove. Again, in self-defense, as you referred to on the first ground ball that was hit back through the box by Mangum. And I think because the glove got in the way, Justin Hooper ultimately avoided the worst there. But a real nice reactionary play from Hooper, as it was almost as if the ball caught him instead of him catching the ball.
Hooper is going to stay in this ball game. It was off the midsection. My eyes deceiving me that time, Matt. You were right on it. But he is going to stay in, and he'll step back onto the third base side of the rubber in an advantageous matchup here, lefty-lefty, with Micah Coffey, the Minnesota Golden Gopher, stepping in. Mangum at first, 1 out, a 5-1 ball game here in the top of the third. Hooper kicks and fires a first pitch fastball on the outer half. Micah Coffey 0 for 1 with a swinging strikeout back in the top of the first. He was really fooled by a good breaking ball from Justin Hooper for strike 3. And then, as I illustrated before, kind of stared out at Hooper and nodded in admiration for the breaking ball. Hooper steps off and stares Mangum back to first base. Jake Mangum, a threat to run at any moment, has a good lead, and now Hooper throws over wide of Cresto, but it now deflects off the Hyannis first base coach. He's taking one for the team that time. It deflects off of his leg right back to Cresto, so Mangum can advance. Jake has a smile on his face, stepping on first base now. Mangum now gets another pretty good-sized lead at first. Hooper stares in, now stares down Jake Mangum. Mangum runs, pick off a play. Cresto has it, throws to the shortstop Avant, who now chases Mangum back to first and tags Jake Mangum out about 5 feet before he could get back to first base for the second out of this third inning. Justin Hooper continues to field his position quite well. Matt, you mentioned it back in the top of the first. He gloved the ground ball off the bat of Mangum and then tagged out Reese Hampton in between second and third, and then had another really nice pickoff attempt. 0-1 breaking ball, misses outside, so it's 1-1 now on Micah Coffey.
He's got a really good pickoff move. That's not abnormal for a lefty, but it might be abnormal for a lefty of his stature. He's used it multiple times already tonight, Will, and overall, as you mentioned, a great job fielding his position so far.
1-1 breaking pitch, outside corner, 1-2 now on Micah Coffey. Hooper able to go back to the windup, and I'd be surprised if he didn't go back to that tailing away breaking pitch here. The 1-2, it is that breaking ball, and Coffey staying alive, gets a piece, chops it up the first base line.
Remember back to the first inning when Mangum was on first base. Hooper fired a traditional pickoff throw over to John Cresto. Mangum was caught leaning, and at least to the naked eye, or to my naked eye, it looked like Mangum was out. He was ultimately ruled safe. But had that call gone the other way, and it was really a 50-50 call, Mangum would be the recipient of 2 Justin Hooper pickoffs in 2 trips to first.
1-2 outside fastball, sprayed down the third base line by Coffey. Maybe this is a story, maybe it's not, but Jake Mangum now 5 for 10 on the base paths this summer. He's a guy that was almost uncatchable stealing bases his freshman season at Mississippi State. Lot of speed as the 1-2 fastball tails outside, 93 miles an hour from Hooper. It's the highest velocity I think we've seen all evening from Justin, and the count even at 2-2 on the 3-hitter Coffey. 5-1 ball game. Cottuit over Hyannis. 2 outs here in the third as Hooper out of the windup fires a 2-2 breaking ball that misses just inside. The catcher Martellini trying to frame that pitch over the inner half, but Joe Carrico, our home plate umpire, not falling for it, and the count full on Coffee. Hooper fires the 3-2 breaking ball. Coffee well out in front of that pitch. He rifles it foul down the right field line. 79 miles an hour from Justin, and now Hooper walking around back behind the pitching rubber, now steps back on to the third base side. Attacking the lefty Coffee here. As the 3-2 breaking pitch swung on and chopped foul up the first base line. It stays 3-2, and it looks like Justin Hooper just going to continue to come with this breaking ball into the lefty Coffee.
To your point, Will, I think it is a note worth mentioning on Jake Mangum, the 5 caught stealings now, because you look at Wareham as an entire team, they're 22 for 27 as a team stealing bases.
3-2 breaking ball never quite broke from Hooper. It misses inside. A really nice at-bat that time for Micah Coffee, who's at first with 2 outs for Hunter Stovall, the 4-hitter.
Other teams who have been very efficient team-wide. Falmouth enters tonight 21 for 26, so just 5 misses, or 5 failures, I guess, team-wide for the Commodores. Bourne and Brewster have been caught just 6 times, and now Jake Mangum, as you just mentioned, has been caught 5 times all by himself.
Coffee, who's 0 for 1 on the base paths, doesn't have a huge lead. First pitch comes into Stovall, and he swings through a good slider from Justin Hooper. It's 0-1. Maybe Jake just not picking his spots well right now. You wonder how many of those 5 caught stealings are pickoff plays like the one we just saw. 0-1 rifled up the middle, fielded by Alexander, who flips to Avant at second for out number 3. Really nice range shown that time from Luke Alexander, who high-fives his double play partner Chandler Avant, trotting toward the Cottuit dugout down the third base line. And we'll head to the bottom of the third now from beautiful Lowell Park. Still 5-1. Kettleers over the Harbor Hawks on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. We move to the bottom of the third from beautiful Lowell Park, an 81-degree Sunday evening in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Cotuit, Massachusetts, to be exact. Zach Cohn, Gian Martellini, and Brett Kinnaman due up, and those three will be facing a new pitcher for Hyannis. It's Ethan Larison, the 6'2", 205-pound, now rising senior at Indiana State University. A 4.62 ERA for Larison, that coming in 7 appearances out of the bullpen, 13 hits allowed, in 11 2/3, and he played the outfield last night for Hyannis in that 17-3 loss against Orleans. That's how bad it got for the Harbor Hawks. Cohn, the batter from the right side, swings at a good first pitch fastball from Larison. It's 0-1. So Jordan Martinson, start number 1 of the summer, goes just 2 innings, gives up 5 runs, all earned on 6 hits, and threw just 27 pitches. He apparently didn't have it tonight for Hyannis. The 0-1 from Larison, fastball cued to the second baseman. That's Stovall who has it and throws to Olenek at first for out number 1 here in the bottom of the third. Mentioned it before, but 5 out of the first 9 Cotuit Kettleers to face Jordan Martinson swung at the first pitch that they saw, and that usually a sign that Cotuit was seeing the ball very well out of the left hand of Jordan Martinson. Hitting those 2 long home runs, Avant and Dillard, both to straightaway left field. And I think it's safe to say that Martinson, maybe fair to say the better adjective, that he was shelled today in start number 1 on Cape Cod. Martellini now the batter, swings at a first pitch fastball and fouls it back to the screen.
You also have to wonder the last time Martinson even threw, Will. Dallas Baptist has been out of the NCAA tournament for a while now. Not sure how much throwing he did on the side in between the NCAA tournament run and his trip to Cape Cod.
0-1 breaking ball misses inside. Count now even on Gian.
I mean, obviously he threw some, but it's one thing to throw a bullpen and another thing to face live hitters.
And you think because his teammate M.D. Johnson got here and had made 2 starts before Martinson made his first, as the 1-1 from Larison, breaking ball over at the knees, 1-2 now on Martellini. You'd think that maybe this is speculative on my part, but that Jordan Martinson was taking some time off from baseball, wanted a week or 2 of rest before coming up here, because clearly he could have made it earlier if he wanted to, with M.D. Johnson making it when he did. 1-2, Martellini looks at a high fastball at 93 miles an hour. Count now even. Gian 0 for 1 in this one, but the 0 for 1 very productive. A sacrifice fly out to deep left center back in the first inning. And Gian now number 2 on the team with 11 RBIs. Trailing just John Cresto. The 2-2 from the righty Ethan Larison. Here it is. Martellini swings, skies it to straightaway left. Robinson back, looking up. It just kept carrying off the bat of Gian Martellini, who hits his second long ball of the summer, the third of the game already for Cotuit, and it's 6-1 Kettleers here in the third.
There must be a bit of a jet stream going out to straightaway left tonight. That's not taking anything away from Kettleer hitters who've homered to left field so far tonight, namely Thomas Dillard, Chandler Avant, and now Gian Martellini. But that ball, as you mentioned, Will, just kept carrying off the bat of Martellini. It was a hung breaking ball from Larison, and Martellini did a good job waiting on it, but it was high in the air, and I think it caught the wind once it got up in the air and just kept going till it went over the fence.
Kinnaman now the batter from the left side, looks at a low fastball, 1-0.
Hung breaking ball's now a theme on all 3 home runs for the Kettleers. If memory serves, both home runs last inning for Dillard and Avant were on hung breaking balls, and that one for Martellini was the same.
The 1-0 from Larison. Fastball misses way high, 2-0 now on Kinnaman. The first 2 home runs off the bat of first Thomas Dillard, then Chandler Avant were absolute line shots to straightaway left. That one, a different kind of home run, a majestic moonshot off the bat of Martellini. It was a while before that ball landed in the woods and straightaway left. 2-0 from Larison. Kinnaman swings and skies it back behind us. It's 2-1 now.
And again, I'm not taking anything away from these 3 hitters, but another thing to think about, probably the warmest day that we've had on Cape Cod for a Kettleers game in the last week or so. And the ball seems to be catching up in that warm air and just continuing to carry.
81 degrees the temperature. Winds are blowing out of the southwest to straightaway left at 15 miles an hour as Kinnaman swings through a 2-1 changeup outside. The count now even on Brett.
The response to that, if you're a Kettleers fan or if you're Mike Roberts, is that both teams have to pitch in it.
Sure. Cottuit certainly capitalizing on some mistakes from Hyannis pitchers so far. 2-2 into Kinnaman, chopped up the middle, ranging over is the second baseman Stovall. He gloves a leap throw to first, not in time, as Hunter Stovall on his backside in shallow left field. The first baseman Olenek doing everything he could that time to stretch and try to get the ball into his mitt as quickly as possible. An infield single for Kinnaman, almost a phenomenal defensive play from Stovall, and there's a one-out base runner for Miles Lewis.
Our Starkville insider Kyle, who's an intern here for the Kettleers, gave us the scouting report on Stovall a couple nights ago when we were at McKeon Park. He said Hunter Stovall is good for a couple of those a game, I think was his terminology. And we see just why Hunter Stovall is viewed as a premium glove in Starkville for the Bulldogs.
Lewis looks, or doesn't, he swings at an outside changeup and misses. It's 0-1. Kyle also said, if memory serves Matt, that Hunter Stovall never finished a game all season with a clean jersey. And Kyle, the athletic trainer for Mississippi State for their baseball program, has to deal with the uniforms after each game. He said that Stovall was an absolute pest because every day there was dirt covering the entire uniform. Runner goes at first. That's Kinnaman. Pitch taken outside. Throw down to second from DiCaprio. Nowhere close. A stolen base for Brett Kinnaman, who's now in scoring position. A 1-1 count on Miles Lewis as the throw came in from the catcher DiCaprio, skipped by the shortstop Proctor. Hunter Stovall backing up the play, and now Mike Roberts wants to chat with Miles Lewis up the third base line. For Brett Kinnaman, it's stolen base number 6 of the summer. He's 6 for 7 now on the base paths. It's the most stolen bases for any Cotuit Kettleer. Brett continues to show that he really is a five-tool player. We saw the power on Thursday night at Hyannis. Seen the speed to beat out that infield single and then steal second base. It's been a really nice defender in left field for Mike Roberts as well. 1-1 count into Lewis, who bats from the left side against the righty Larison. Kinnaman dancing off of second. Here's the 1-1. No, not quite, because Larison spins off and bluffs a throw out to second base. Nobody holding on Brett Kinnaman. Proctor, the shortstop, playing at usual positioning. So is the second baseman Stovall. So Brett can get a pretty good-sized lead at second, trying to score the 7th run of the game for Cottuit. The 1-1 from Larison swung through a good outside changeup. Looks like that's Ethan Larison's best pitch right now in the count 1-2 into Miles Lewis.
With that stolen base as well, Will, Brett Kinnaman now moves into sole possession of 5th on the Cape Cod League stolen base leaderboard. Kettleers haven't been running as much lately. They haven't had enough traffic to do so. Doing so once again so far tonight.
Kinnaman still dancing off of second. The 1-2. Fastball misses way up and away. It's 2-2 now on Lewis. Miles 1 for 1 in this one. A single back in the 3-run second inning for Cottuit. Also stole a base. Scored a run on the 2-run shot off the bat of Dillard. Lewis 5 for 24 now as a Kettleer. Awaiting a 2-2 from the righty Larison. Here it is. Breaking ball taken in the dirt. Nicely taken by Lewis. Nicely blocked by the catcher DiCaprio. And Lewis has worked a full count at 3-2. Doesn't appear as though Ethan Larison all that comfortable out on the pitching rubber right now. He stared back at Brett Kinnaman a couple times before delivering that 2-2. Certainly worried about Kinnaman in scoring position at second. He stares him back to the bag now. Comes set, the 3-2 into Lewis. Check swing, and it doesn't matter if Miles Lewis went around because Joe Carrico, our home plate umpire, rings up Miles. An outside changeup that time. There are 2 gone for the 8-hitter, Luke Alexander. So Kinnaman still at second. Now 2 outs, though, in the third. And Alexander, the batter now, 0 for 0 officially because he sacrificed Miles Lewis over to third base in his only other plate appearance back in the second. He bats from the right side, dangles the bat, a slightly open stance, and he looks at a first pitch breaking ball from Larison that gets the inner half. It's 0-1. Thomas Dillard 1 for 1 with that 2-run home run waiting on deck. Kettleers trying to extend their lead to 6 runs. 6-1 ball game here in the third with Kinnaman at second base. The 0-1 from Larison. Fastball cued over the head of Olenek into right field. Kinnaman being sent from third. He'll score easily as the right fielder Newstrom fires that ball back in. An RBI single for Luke Alexander, scoring Brett Kinnaman from second. And it's 7-1 Kettleers here in the third.
Luke Alexander starting to heat up with more consistent playing time now, Will. I mentioned it in his last at-bat that he was 2 for his last 3. I know that's a small sample size, but he's now 3 for his last 4. And in that span, he's got 3 singles and a 3-game hitting streak as he finally adds an RBI to that ledger, picking up his 4th run driven into the season.
Really nice piece of hitting that time for Luke as well, Matt. An inside fastball. It looked like he kind of inside-outed over the first baseman Olenik's head into right field. So now Alexander at first, Dillard the batter from the left side as Larison throws over, and Luke Alexander with a half-hearted slide back in because that pickoff attempt nowhere close is in safely. 3 hits in the inning, 2 more runs for Cottuit with Luke Alexander at first base. Dillard again batting from the left side for the first time today. Checks his swing at an outside changeup and does not offer at that pitch. It's taken for a ball in the count 1-0. Thomas picking up home run number 1 and RBIs number 3 and 4 of the summer in that at-bat back in the second. Larison taking his sweet time, now throws over, and Olenek doesn't even try to apply a tag with Alexander back in safely with the head-first dive. Kettleers with 7 runs on 9 hits and 1 error here in the third. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for Hyannis. The 1-0 into Dillard. Swing and a miss. A good changeup from Larison. It's 1-1. Matt mentioned these numbers in the pregame show, but if you weren't joining us then, worth reiterating that Cotuit's average has dropped 32 whole points in the last week. The Kettleers hitting just .212 in their last 7 ball games, but today breaking out of the slump perhaps against these Harbor Hawks. The 1-1 runner goes at first. That's Alexander. Throw down to second in plenty of time from Dom DiCaprio as Ford Proctor applies the tag. Alexander caught stealing, and the inning is over. Kettleers don't strand any runners. They score 2 on the strength of 3 base hits as we're through 3 from beautiful Lowell Park. 7-1 Cottuit leading Hyannis on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. We move to the 4th from Lowell Park on this Sunday evening, July 2nd. Appreciate you tuning in. However, you may be doing so on this Sunday evening via Comcast Channel 99 on the Cape, our Mixlr page, or the YouTube live stream as the batter Daniel Robinson swings at a first pitch fastball and fouls it out of play. Out of the left hand of Justin Hooper, it's 0-1. Hooper now at 52 pitches through 3+ 1-run innings. It's looked really good so far. 0-1 breaking ball misses low. Daniel Robinson, the Central Michigan University Chippewa, 0-for-1 so far in this one. He rolled over to Luke Alexander back in the second. 1-1 misses inside. It's now 2-1.
Fire up chips, Will.
Fire up chips, indeed. Robinson had a really, really nice sophomore season for the Chippewas. a .305 average in 59 starts. 2-1, high chopper again to Luke Alexander, who picks it a short hop that time and throws to Cresto at first for out number 1. Luke Alexander looking increasingly confident out there. The good bat certainly helping his fielding, you'd think, and makes a really nice play there for out number 1 as Ryan Olenek comes up. It's amazing how when you start heating up at the plate, you start making phenomenal defensive plays. Not that that one was phenomenal, but a tough play made by Alexander, who had to pick a short hop that time, a high chopper, as Olenek shows bunt, gets it down right back to Hooper, who gloves, spins, and throws to Cresto out of the mid of John now as it skips away. We'll see how that play is scored. Certainly an error for Cottuit. Matt, do you have any inclination one way or the other? Looked like a catchable ball for John Cresto.
I'd go E3.
We will check with our good friend, scorer Brian Clemenson, here in the Cotuit Kettleers press box at Lowell Park, but I tend to agree with you. It would be the second error for John Cresto at first base, playing out of position today. And Olenek at first with one out for Ford Proctor. It is scored an error on Cresto, who's holding on Ryan Olenek at first base. Olenek named Mr. Versatility for the Ole Miss baseball team as the first pitch curveball misses inside. Proctor having a spin out of the way of that one. It's 1-0. Ford Proctor reached via a hit by pitch back in the second. He almost had the same result that time. The first time it was a breaking ball that never quite broke from Hooper as Justin throws over and Olenek back in safely.
This is merely a factual note because it's obviously not as much John Cresto's fault tonight, Will, because as you mentioned, he's playing out of position. But now in the last 3 games for the Kettleers, Cresto has committed 4 errors.
Proctor calls time and steps out of the batter's box.
2 a couple nights ago when Wareham came to town. And now 2 again so far tonight.
I'd imagine playing out of position at first base as the 1-0 from Hooper. Fastball misses just low apparently. It's 2-0. That Cresto was just a little bit thrown off that time. Olenek was kind of charging toward him as Hooper made the throw, and perhaps Olenek kind of passed John Cresto's eyesight just as the ball was coming into his mitt. 2-0, big rip and a miss from Proctor. It's 2-1.
I wonder if John Cresto even brought his own first base mitt to Cape Cod with him. Might be using somebody else's. Might have had to go buy one.
Looks like both balls that he hasn't been able to come up with so far have bounced off the mid of that glove. Pickoff attempt, and Olenek back in safely. Probably should have slid back toward first, but he doesn't do so, and it works out for the Ole Miss Rebel. 7-1 ball game, top 4 from Lowell Park. 1 out here in the 4th. Olenek at first, the batter Ford Proctor. As Hooper bluffs a throw over, and this time Olenek dives in. Justin with a smile on his face. Ryan Olenek with a smile on his as well. The 2-1 fastball misses outside out of the glove of Dillard, but doesn't trickle far enough away to allow Thomas Dillard's college teammate Ryan Olenek to go on to second base. It's Martellini, Matt corrects me. My bad that time. Thomas Dillard, of course, the DH. Gian behind the plate for Cottuit. 3-1 from Justin Hooper, chopped foul up the first base line. It's 3-2. May as well go over the defense to get everyone, myself included, on the same wavelength here in the 4th. Kinnaman, Lewis, and Conine across the outfield again. Conan Avant on the left side, Alexander and Cresto on the right side, and Gian Martellini, not Thomas Dillard, catching Justin Hooper. 3-2 count on Proctor. Here's the pitch. Curveball swung through, strike 3. That tailing away breaking ball from Justin Hooper. So good today. Strikeout number 3 for the big, tall lefty out of UCLA. And there are 2 gone for Dom DiCaprio.
It's now 9 swings and misses induced by Hooper so far tonight, Will, after he had 5 in the first inning alone. He picks up his 3rd strikeout. They've all been swinging strikeouts. And this is the best he's looked so far this year, in my opinion.
I'd agree with you. First pitch into DiCaprio, swung on and rifled, but foul up the third base line.
I want to go back to a point you were making a couple batters ago about Luke Alexander and how his confidence at the plate might be translating over into the field. I wonder if Alexander continues to swing at least a moderately hot stick, if he can find his way into the lineup more regularly, especially against lefty starters, as was the case tonight.
0-1, fastball misses outside. Back pick down to first, and Martellini almost had Olenek at first base, but he's back in safely.
No idea where Olenek's going before I finish that point. But anyway, Terran Vavra, who we've already mentioned, doesn't hit lefties very well, is the lone Kettleer on the bench tonight. We probably thought a couple weeks ago that Akeo Thomas would be at second base every day this summer.
1-1, chopped high to the shortstop, Avant, who fields, juggles, but now throws to Cresto at first for out number 3. Finish up that point, Matt.
You have Avant at short on nights like this. He's a righty. You get 2 righties in the lineup. Alexander plays a good defensive second base, and all of a sudden there's your middle infield.
Sure, we'll certainly see how it unfolds down the stretch for Cottuit, but certainly logical in my book, logical in yours as well, I know. 7-1 ball game. We're heading to the bottom of the 4th from Lowell Park. Kettleers over the Harbor Hawks. That 7-1 score on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you on this Sunday evening from Cotuit, Massachusetts. A 7-1 score. Kettleers leading the Harbor Hawks as we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning of play. And Chad Gassman has made a call down to the bullpen for the second time tonight. Davis Vayner, the 6'1", 180-pound righty out of the University of Alabama, on for the 4th time this summer. Make it the 7th time this summer for Vayner. So far an 0-1 record, a 3.00 ERA. 10 hits allowed in 9 innings, 6 strikeouts as well. First pitch into Thomas Dillard, misses outside at 96 miles an hour. It's 1-0. If you recall back an inning ago, Thomas Dillard was batting when Luke Alexander was caught stealing. So he gets a new count and watches a 1-0 fastball over the outer half. 1-1 now. Vayner has a really good fastball. We've seen that in his first 2 pitches of this bottom of the 4th. Both in the mid-90s velocity-wise. 1-1 breaking pitch. Chopped foul at the first base line. It's 1-2. Vayner, like Ethan Larison, the last righty out of the bullpen for Chad Gassman, pitched last night against Orleans. Same couple guys pitching 2 straight nights. Of course, that was a 17-3 ball game. 1-2, tails outside at 86 miles an hour. Count now even on Thomas Dillard.
Hate to kick the Harbor Hawks while they're down, Will, but they have got to find some pitching if they want to have any chance of sticking around in the playoff race in the Cape League's Western Division.
2-2 lined right to the first baseman, Olenek, who doesn't have to move, doesn't have to jump to glove for out number 1.
I'm looking up and down the Hyannis stat sheet. I'll just read you some ERAs that pop out to me. 14.40, that belongs to Tristan Barlow. 14.14 belongs to our friend M.D. Johnson. 36, which Ryan Olenek picked up last night. There's 3 ERAs mixed in there that are over 6.
First pitch into Conine, big rip and miss, a good changeup. It's 0-1.
And 2 more that are over 5. By my count, there are only 3 sub-2 ERAs on the entire roster for Hyannis.
Yikes. 0-1 into Conine, misses outside. The count now even.
And one of those ERAs, one of those sub-2s, that is, belongs to a starter, Ryan Weiss. All he's really done this year so far for Hyannis is start. So you only get him once every 5th day or so.
1-1 misses outside. Now 2-1 on Conine, who's 0 for 2 so far tonight.
We mentioned it before the game, but Hyannis comes into tonight with the highest team ERA in the entire league. And I think you used a really good term. It's not even close. 5.73 for the Harbor Hawks.
2-1. Breaking ball misses just low. Nicely taken by Conine. It's 3-1 now.
And all they've done in response to giving up 17 runs at Eldridge Park last night is give up 7 runs so far tonight in just 3 1/3 innings.
Cottuit still gets to face the Harbor Hawks 4 more times after tonight. Sure, that's very good news in the Cottuit dugout as Conine calls time before the 3-1. Now Vayner back onto the rubber, delivers a fastball that misses high, ball 4. So Conine at first with a one-out walk rather, and Chandler Avant comes up. Just to look at the numbers, Matt, you just mentioned a couple of them, but what I've got written down here is the number 10 ERA, the number 10 whip, walks and hits per inning. They've walked the most batters, and that's not particularly close. M.D. Johnson, a big culprit for that. And they also have the least strikeouts. Nothing going right for Hyannis pitchers. First pitch, breaking ball inside corner. All Alabama matchup here. 0-1 on Avant. Chandler so far 2 for 2. That line shot, home run in the second, a single and a run in the first. The 0-1 change up, swung on and skied on the infield. The second baseman Stovall out. He's called off by the shortstop Proctor, who ranges out on the shallow center field outfield grass, and gloves for out number 2.
They don't give up a ton of hits, I guess, if you're looking for a silver lining as a Harbor Hawks fan. They have just the 6th worst batting average against at .264. But when you pale that in comparison to their walk numbers, I'm not sure which spot you'd rather be in. It's either death by 1,000 paper cuts or death by one big blow, I guess.
Cresto looks at a first pitch, change up low. It's 1-0. John 1 for 2 with an RBI double and a strikeout.
I'd almost rather my pitchers get hit around.
I'm with you, I think, yeah. 1-0. Cresto fouls a fastball back to the screen.
I mean, just think of everything it does to a staff to walk as many batters as Hyannis has this year. We saw it a few nights ago at McKeon Park when Harbor Hawk pitching walked 9 Kettleers. In that game, the Harbor Hawks threw 189 pitches. That's just unsustainable.
1-1 into Cresto, tattooed to straightaway right. Newstrom charging in. He's caught off by the second baseman Stovall, who gloves in pretty shallow straightaway right for out number 3. The Kettleers get a one-out walk in the form of Griffin Conine, but they cannot score in their half of the 4th. And we'll head to the 5th now from Lowell Park, 7-1. Cottuit comfortably ahead of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Moving to the 5th from Lowell Park, Kettleers trying to break a 2-game losing streak, and so far, Matt, looking very good against this struggling Hyannis team.
Yeah, Will, 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the third for the Kettleers. That's what's given them this 7-1 lead. Hyannis gave up 17 runs last night to Orleans, and so far 7 more again tonight to Cottuit, who had come in a little bit slow at the plate and in a little bit of a skid, but has looked really good so far tonight. The first pitch of the top of the 5th for Justin Hooper misses the glove of Martellini altogether and goes to the backstop, and it's 0-1 to Robert Newstrom. That was the 66th pitch of the inning. That was a mouthful. 1-0, popped out of play by Newstrom, 1-1. Not of the inning, that was the 66th pitch of the night. It's now 67 for Hooper, as he needed 65 to get through his first 4 innings on the mound. We saw Jason Billis go into the 6th last night for the Kettleers. He needed over 90 pitches to do so, but became the first Kettleer starter all season to pick up an out beyond inning number 5. The 1-1 pitch to Newstrom. He swings and lifts it foul towards the left side. Martellini sheds the mask and comes over, but it's off the Kettleers' dugout and out of play for strike 2. Newstrom, the 9-hole hitter. He'll be followed by the top of the Harbor Hawk order, Reese Hampton and Jake Mangum. Newstrom so far tonight in 1 at-bat. 0 for 1 with a ground out to second. Mentioned this the first time he was up, but Robert Newstrom might be the best hitter in the Harbor Hawk lineup altogether. 1-2, he gets just a piece and serves it foul back behind the plate. Newstrom entered play tonight a .313 hitter with a .919 OPS. He was the Harbor Hawk leader in home runs coming into play tonight with 3, as well as in RBIs with 11. He's in a 1-2 hole here. The kick and the pitch from Hooper. Breaking ball swung on and missed for strike 3. Justin Hooper continues to have that breaking pitch working just as Jason Billis did last night. It's the 4th strikeout of the night for Justin Hooper, 1 in each inning so far. And there's 1 away with the bases clear for Reese Hampton. Hampton so far tonight 1 for 2. He has 1 of just 3 Harbor Hawk hits. That was a double to lead off the entire game back in the top of the 1st. Hampton eventually was hung up between 2nd and 3rd, however, in that top of the 1st. As he takes the first pitch breaking ball low and in from Hooper, it's 1-0. As the batter behind him, Jake Mangum in that first inning, first the 1-0, grounded towards 3rd. Cone waits on a high second hop, picks it up, and fires across the diamond for out number 2. Anyway, Jake Mangum in that top of the 1st inning grounded right back through the box. Hooper gloved it and immediately and alertly turned to his right, where he found Reese Hampton halfway between 2nd and 3rd. Justin Hooper ran over towards Hampton like he's taught to do, applied the tag himself, and helped himself coax a scoreless top of the 1st. There's now 2 away for the aforementioned Mangum, and the first pitch misses low to Jake at 81 miles an hour. It's 1-0. It's been almost exclusively breaking ball for Hooper this start. Not something you see very often from a starting pitcher, especially one with the fastball that he has. The 1-0 pitch looped towards 2nd, backing up is Alexander, but that'll dunk down into shallow right for a 2-out single. So Jake Mangum reaches for the 3rd time tonight. He's now 2 for 2, reached via fielder's choice in the 1st. That's his 2nd single, neither of which has been hit very hard. And it'll bring up Micah Coffey. Coffey 0 for 1 so far tonight, struck out swinging in the 1st, then reached via a walk in the 3rd, but didn't advance beyond first base. First pitch to Coffey. There's a fastball from Hooper. It misses up and away, 1-0. Mangum with a small lead at first base. He was picked off the last time he was at first. 1-0 pitch, swung and grounded towards short. Avant waits on it, scoops it up and goes the short way to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left in that half inning for Hooper. He works quickly and he'll probably earn himself a 6th. After 4.5, it's 7-1 Kettleers on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network.
Number 26, Zach Cone.
Halfway home from Lowell Park in Cotuit, it's 7-1. Kettleers lead the Harbor Hawks in what has been a nice rebound effort, especially at the plate so far tonight for the Kettleers. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you as we move to the bottom of the fifth on the Cotuit Kettleers video network. Zach Cone leads things off and takes a first pitch fastball up and in for ball one. Cone faces the fourth pitcher of the night for the Harbor Hawks, Connor Green, into the game for Hyannis. Green, the righty out of Ole Miss from Collierville, Mississippi. The kick in the 1-0. Cone gets just a piece and fouls it back behind the plate for ball one, or for strike one rather. We last saw Connor Green a couple nights ago when the Kettleers defeated Hyannis at McKeon Park 12-6. Green was the first man out of the bullpen in relief of M.D. Johnson that night. The 1-1 pitch is rifled down the left field line over the glove of the leaping third baseman for Hyannis, Coffey, and into shallow left. Cutting it off is the left fielder Robinson. He holds Cone to a single as he gets the ball back in quickly. And Zach Cone is now 2 for 3.
Boston College, the catcher, number 19.
That'll bring up John Martellini just to finish that point
Martellini, number 19.
on Connor Green. He lasted just 2/3 of an inning in that game a few nights ago. Gave up 2 hits, 1 run, it was unearned, walked 1, and did not pick up a strikeout. Martellini's had a good game so far. First pitch to Gian, he's swinging and chops it foul towards his own dugout for strike 1. Gian, one of 3 men to homer so far tonight for Cottuit. He hit a solo shot with 1 out back in the third to make the score 6-0 Kettleers at the time. Small lead at first for Cone. The 0-1 pitch, Martellini waits on a breaking ball and hammers it towards the left side, out of the reach of Coffey. Again, Robinson has to move over to cut it off. He does so in time to hold Cone at second, but it's a second straight single for John Martellini. Second straight pull side single for the Kettleers, and they have something in the pot here with 2 on and nobody out in the bottom of the fifth for Brett Kinnaman.
Hanging breaking ball that time from Connor Green, and Martellini was right on it. 2 nice at-bats for the Kettleers to get this fifth going. A couple sharply hit singles to left field, and see if Kinnaman can keep the train moving here.
For Brett, it's his 3rd at-bat of the night. Struck out looking against the lefty starter his first time. Swings at the first pitch here, grounds it towards second, underneath the glove of Stovall, into shallow right. Stovall recovers quickly to get back on it, but he has no play. Everybody will be safe. We'll see how it's scored. But nonetheless, it's now bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the fifth for the Kettleers.
This is how 7-1 can become 12-1 in a hurry for Hyannis. We mentioned a couple times they gave up the 12 runs to Cottuit on Thursday, then 17 last night against Orleans. Could be about to go from bad to really bad for the Harbor Hawks.
It is scored an E4, allowing Kinnaman to reach. Now the first pitch to Miles Lewis is hammered off the netting, and it's 0-1. Runner at third is now Cone. At second, Martellini. At first, Kinnaman. And Miles Lewis with a chance to do his most damage so far as a Cotuit Kettleer. The 0-1 pitch misses down and in. Nice block on the backhand by the catcher DiCaprio. And it's 1-1. Lewis so far tonight, single back in the second, and a backwards K back in the third. Miles also stole second base in that second inning. The 1-1 pitch, breaking ball, Lewis hammers it foul up the first baseline. And it's 1-2. Hyannis infield comes in a 7-1 game. Especially at short where Proctor is. Second baseman Stovall playing more towards medium depth. Both corners are in. As Green awaits the sign from DiCaprio. He's got it. The kick and the 1-2 pitch to Lewis. Big swing and a miss on a down and in breaking ball, and Miles Lewis is down on strikes for the first out of the inning. Folks, we want to remind you that the Cape Cod Baseball League is brought to you by Chatham Bars Inn Resort and Spa. The Beach House Grill at Chatham Bars Inn Resort and Spa is the perfect spot for a seaside lunch or evening clam bake, a proud member of leading hotels of the world. So here's Luke Alexander, the suddenly hot Luke Alexander. 3 for his last 4. And the first pitch misses low and outside for ball 1. Alexander laid down a successful sacrifice to move Lewis up to third back in the second inning. Then had an RBI single to the opposite field his last time up in the third. The 1-0 pitch, breaking ball, Alexander tied in a knot, but he checked his swing. No, he didn't, says home plate umpire, or first base umpire Bob Dwyer. It was a late appeal down to first there from Joe Carrico, but it ultimately came, and Luke Alexander is rung up for strike one. Now the count 1-1, infield back for Hyannis. The pitch, fastball that misses up and away at 90 miles an hour, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. A little bit of an egg bowl battle here. Connor Green from Ole Miss, Luke Alexander from Mississippi State. The kick in the 2-1 to Alexander. Fastball that misses low and away, ball 3.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this, Matt, but it just looks like the body language from Luke is so much better than we saw through his first handful of games with the Kettleers. More violent wiggle of the bat.
3-1 pitch coming. Fastball grounded foul up the third baseline, and the count goes full. It was a rough stretch run for Luke Alexander with the Bulldogs. He did not play in the SEC tournament, did not have an at-bat in the regional, and did not have an at-bat in the super regional either. You got to figure that it took him a while to get his sea legs back. Payoff pitch, misses upstairs, ball 4, and Connor Green walks in the 8th Kettleer run of the game. Another RBI for Luke Alexander, his second of the night. Zach Cohn comes in to score. Martellini moves up to third. Kinnaman to second, and completing the parade route, Luke Alexander to first. So Thomas Dillard the batter now. Dillard from the left side. He homered from the right side his first time up back in the second. A 2-run shot that plated himself and Miles Lewis. Takes a first pitch here for a strike on the inside corner from his college teammate. And it's 0-1. Now 8 runs on 11 hits and 2 errors for Cottuit. 1 run, 4 hits, 1 error for Hyannis. The 0-1 pitch from Green on the inside corner again to Dillard. He didn't like the call on that 81-mile-an-hour breaking ball, and it's 0-2. That walk for Green, somewhat remarkably given the Harbor Hawks' propensity to walk batters, was just the second for Hyannis pitching so far tonight. Cottuit has come to swing so far in this game. The 0-2 pitch to Dillard, late on a fastball, but he sprays it foul out of play towards the left side, and he'll stay alive. Cottuit last had double-digit hits the last time they played the Harbor Hawks a few nights ago. The 0-2 to Dillard, big swing and a miss as he was late on that 86-mile-an-hour heater up and away. Thomas goes back to the dugout, the second strikeout victim of the inning. And it'll be left up to the leadoff hitter, Griffin Conine. The only other time in the last week that Cottuit has had double-digit hits, it actually came 8 days ago, so not in the last week. When Cottuit defeated YD 9-2 last Saturday, they wrapped out 11. First pitch to Conine misses down and in for ball 1. Griffin so far tonight, 0 for 2, grounded to short, popped out to short, and then reached via base on balls back in the 4th. The 1-0 pitch misses upstairs and away to Conine, and it's 2-0. Griffin's been stuck on 10 RBI for quite a while now. He's got a chance for multiple ribbies here with the bases drunk. And 2 away in an 8-1 game. The 2-0 pitch, Conine rifles it towards the right center field gap, moving over his Newstrom. He won't have a play, and it goes all the way to the wall. Takes one big hop, coming in to score Martellini. Right behind him is Kinnaman. Being waved is Alexander. Griffin Conine clears the bases with a 3-run double, and it's 11-1 Kettleers. Conine got a high fastball that Connor Green left right down the middle. Griffin knew what to do with it with a laser beam shot to right center. He picks up RBI number 11, 12, and 13. And Cottuit has blown the doors open.
And somewhat remarkably, man, that's Griffin's first base hit since last Tuesday at Harwich. He was the last Kettleer to not register a hit in this ball game. But that looks like the Griffin Conine we've come to know and love.
First pitch to Chandler Avant misses upstairs. Actually catches the zone for strike 1.
Just rifled an elevated fastball into the right center field gap, easily scoring 3. And it looks like Griffin Conine back for Cottuit in a big way.
The 0-1 pitch to Avant. Breaking ball that he lays off, 1 ball and 1 strike. So now if you look at the last 3 games here at Lowell Park, each of which has seen a team score double-digit runs. The 1-1, breaking ball misses low to Avant for ball 2. When Wareham was here a couple nights ago, they put up 11. The game before that on Wednesday, Orleans put up 13. And the game before that at Lowell Park last Saturday against YD, the Kettleers put up 9. So almost 4 straight double-digit outputs. 2-1 pitch misses low and away to Avant. And he's in the driver's seat 3-1 as Connor Green is really laboring here in the bottom of the 5th.
Hyannis is now, if Green can retire Avant here, they will have allowed 2 runs per inning over the last 2 nights. Yikes.
3-1 to Avant. He swings, chops it towards short. High second hop for Proctor moving to his right, gloves it and fires across the diamond to bring an end to the inning at long last. The Kettleers scored 4 more times, however. They do so on the strength of 3 hits, the biggest of which was a 3-run double for Griffin Conine. There was 1 error and a walk, and 1 runner left. We'll move to the 6th. It's now 11-1 Cottuit from Lowell Park on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. It's 11-1 Kettleers as we play in inning number 6 from Lowell Park on this Sunday afternoon. Speaking of 11, Justin Hooper needed just 11 pitches to get out of the 5th. He's at just 76 for the night, but Mike Roberts makes a change as Adam Scott comes onto the game. And here with innings 6 and 7, my broadcast partner, Will Greer.
Yeah, Matt, Adam Scott is in, making his 5th appearance of the summer. Delivers a first pitch fastball into Stovall that skied on the left side of the infield. Calling everyone off is the shortstop Avant, and he gloves on the infield dirt for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out for the strike-throwing machine, Adam Scott, and Daniel Robinson comes up with nobody on base here in the 6th. Justin Hooper's final line, very, very good. I think it's safe to say, certainly now, that we just witnessed Justin's best start of the summer, maybe his best start in 2 summers now with Cottuit. First pitch into Robinson, fastball misses outside. 5 4-hit innings for Justin, 1 run. It was unearned, 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. He did hit a couple batters on a couple breaking balls that never quite broke, but Hooper did figure out his breaking ball as the start went on. The 1-0 into Robinson again misses outside, now 2-0. Daniel Robinson 0 for 2 against Justin Hooper. A couple ground outs to Alexander at second. Adam made his first start of the summer, of course, last Thursday against these Harbor Hawks. 2-0 fastball outside corner, 2-1 now. In that start, Scott went 4 1/3, gave up 5 runs, all earned, 7 hits, 3 strikeouts, but he looked much better than that final line would indicate. The 2-1 into Robinson, outside fastball, missed low as well that time, and the count now 3 balls and 1 strike on the Hyannis 5-hitter. A 4.84 ERA for Scott, and now 4+ appearances, 16 hits allowed in 13 innings, 9 strikeouts as well. 3-1, fastball gets the outer half, maybe a 3-1 generous strike call from Joe Carrico. And the count now full on the Hyannis 5-hitter Robinson. The Central Michigan Chippewa stands back in, swings at the 3-2 and chops it to Alexander lightly, who's over, gloves, and throws to Cresto at first for out number 2. So Daniel Robinson 0 for 3 with 3 ground outs to the second baseman Alexander. 2 up, 2 down for Adam Scott, and Ryan Olenek will bat with 2 outs here in the 6th. We've got this day in baseball pulled up. We did this a couple nights ago when Wareham came in and won 11-0. And an 11-1 game, we'll certainly have some time for it in the next couple innings, as Olenek sprays a fastball foul down the right field line. Olenek 0 for 2. He flew out to Conine back in the 2nd, and he bunted back to Justin Hooper in the 4th. Hooper threw to Cresto, but Cresto couldn't come up with the throw from Justin. 0-1, big rip and a miss at a good breaking ball, 79 miles an hour. The count now, no balls, 2 strikes on Olenek. Mentioned it earlier, but Olenek, Mr. Versatility for Ole Miss, can play pretty much every position as he swings at the 0-2, lines it to Avant, who leaps and gloves for out number 3. Chandler Avant gliding to his right onto the outfield grass, gloves that ball in midair for a really nice third out. A 3 up, 3 down inning for Scott. And we'll head to the bottom half of the 6th now from Lowell Park. 11-1, Cotuit leading Hyannis on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Moving right along to the bottom of the 6th from picturesque Lowell Park. 11-1, Kettleers over the Harbor Hawks as John Cresto, Zach Cohn, and Gian Marcellini, 3, 4, and 5 due up against Connor Green, out for a 2nd inning after giving up 4 runs on 28 pitches in his first inning of work back in the last time Cotuit was hitting in the bottom of the 5th. Cresto looks at a first pitch fastball inside. It's 1-0. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you on this Sunday evening. Happy 4th of July weekend. Thanks for tuning in on this Sunday evening. 1-0, Cresto swings and misses. Good inside fastball, it's 1-1. If you're just joining us, Cotuit got 2 in their half of the 1st. An RBI double from the man at the plate right now, John Cresto. A sacrifice fly for Gian Martellini. The 1-1 from Green, outside fastball, called strike number 2. Then Cotuit with 3 in the 2nd. A 2-run shot off the bat of Dillard. A solo home run off the bat of Avant. That made it 5-0. Kettleers added 2 more in their half of the 3rd. Sensing a theme here. 1-2 grounded slowly to the third baseman Coffey, who charges in, gloves, and throws across the diamond for out number 1. So Cresto now 1 for 4 tonight. with that RBI double in the first, and Zach Cohn comes up. Again, to recap, 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the third, and then the Kettleers exploding for 4 in the fifth. The big hit in that inning, a 3-run pull side double off the bat of Griffin Conine, who broke an 0 for 10 slump at the plate. Conine's Duke teammate Zach Cohn steps into the right side and takes a pitch off of his back. Now trots down to first base. He'll be there with 1 out for Gian Martellini. Looked like that pitch hit off the number 2 of Zach Cohn on the back of his jersey. He's okay, it looks like. He quickly tossed the bat toward the Cottuit dugout. And again, he's at first with just 1 out for the 5-hitter, Martellini.
Third time on base tonight for Zach Cohn, and whether it's via hit by pitch or not, I think he'll take it. He came into tonight just 5 for his last 34 at the plate. We talked last night about just how far from the top he had fallen, and looks like he's well on his way to getting back on track so far tonight.
Martellini checks his swing at a first pitch fastball from Green and misses. It's 0-1. Play being ruled a ball, it looked like. I thought for sure Gian went around, but perhaps it's 1-0 as Connor Green signaling to Dom DiCaprio to check with home plate umpire Joe Carrico, who now appeals down to first. And 30 seconds after the call came from Joe Carrico, Bob Dwyer does say that Martellini went around. Never seen that before, Matt. 0-1 count now as Green out of the stretch kicks and fires an 0-1. Chop to Coffey at third. He goes to second for 1. Now Ford Proctor on to first for an inning-ending double play. Couple really weird plays in a row that time. Really just one, I guess. But Martellini bounces into the inning-ending twin killer. And we'll head to the 7th now from Lowell Park. 11-1 Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. We welcome you back to Lowell Park on this Sunday evening, July 2nd. Good guys in front of the bad guys. Cottuit over Hyannis, 11-1. As we move right along to the 7th inning, and after a 10-pitch, 3 up, 3 down, top of the 6th, Adam Scott's day is done. He gives way to a lefty, Taylor Lehman, who was a Cotuit Kettleer last summer for Mike Roberts. He went 3-1, a 3.19 ERA, 2 starts, 10 appearances for Lehman last summer. 31 innings, 17 strikeouts, and again, that really good 3.19 ERA. Lehman attends Penn State University. He was a 34th round draft pick of the Miami Marlins back in 2014, but opted to attend Penn State. He's 6'7", 205 pounds. And Lehman just finished up for the Nittany Lions his junior season. It did not go too well for Taylor. An ERA north of 8 for the Nittany Lions, but on that note, nothing really went well for Penn State this season. They finished last in the Big Ten. A couple really bad performances come to mind. I saw my beloved Northwestern Wildcats smoke them in Happy Valley, and I know Minnesota beat them, I believe, 17-1 because Micah Coffey, the 3-hitter for Hyannis, as Lehman continues to warm up out on the third base side of the rubber. I know Coffey hit for the cycle against Penn State in a 17-1 ball game. Nebraska crushed them, right?
My not-so-beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers clinched a regular season Big Ten crown in Happy Valley by scoring 21 runs on a Sunday.
Lehman with 3 starts, 26 appearances for Penn State, an 8.16 ERA in his junior season for the Nittany Lions. 35 strikeouts, 21 walks in 32 innings. So he at least part of the problem for Penn State, but he's been really good before. Was really good last summer for Cottuit. Trying to get some of that Cape Cod magic back, I guess, this summer. He delivers a first pitch fastball into a pinch hitter for Hyannis that misses outside. It's 1-0. The pinch hitter, Dakota Jalila. We saw him on Thursday night. Delilah with a J. As the 1-0 misses low. Fastball at 91 miles an hour from Lehman. It's 2-0. 6'7" in Lehman facing 5'10" in Jalila.
Jalila facing Lehman, who's wearing almost a plain white tee. I'm sorry.
I like it. No verbal reaction. The 2-0 chop. Fair ball down the third base line. Cone gloves. Those across the diamond, but not in time. As Cresto tries to scoop it out and has the ball deflect off of his glove toward the pitcher's mound. An infield single for Dakota Jalila, the very speedy 5'10", 180-pound Jacksonville Dolphin, with his third hit of the summer, and he's at first with nobody out for Dom DiCaprio, the 8-hitter. So Proctor's day done, 0 for 1, a hit by pitch and a strikeout swinging for the Rice Owl shortstop. Would imagine that Dakota Jalila will take over for him in the next half inning. He's got good speed, does Jalila. Threat to run at first with a pretty good-sized lead in an 11-1 ball game. Lehman checks on him at first and now throws over. Cresto doesn't apply the tag, and Jalila back in safely. Dom DiCaprio so far today, 1 for 2, an RBI double. A sharply hit ground ball down the third base line back in the second, and a ground out to the shortstop Avant in the fourth. Righty-lefty matchup. DiCaprio dangles the bat and looks at a first pitch fastball from Lehman that misses high. It's 1-0. We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard in this half inning. Also have the promised This Day in Baseball history coming at some point in the next 2+ innings of this one. It's a good one. Jalila at first still has a good lead as the 1-0 misses inside and low into DiCaprio. It's 2-0. Wareham up 2-0 over YD, bottom of the 6th at Spillane Field. Harwich 5-2 over Chatham, bottom 5 at White House Field. Revenge game for the Mariners after walking in the winning run last night at Veterans Field against Chatham. 2-0, fastball high, pick down to first. Jalila in safely. 3-0 now the count on DiCaprio.
Must-win game for the Mariners, Will.
Harwich coming into this one, losers of their last 5 ball games. They're 2 games back of Chatham right now, to your point, Matt, at just 5-11-1 through 17 games. Lehman checking Jalila at first. Now comes to the plate with the 3-0. Fastball that misses inside, ball 4. The last thing that Taylor Lehman wanted to do in an 11-1 ball game in the 7th. 2 Harbor Hawks reach to begin this top of the 7th, and Robert Newstrom, the dangerous 9-hitter, coming up. More scores. Orleans up 5-1 over Brewster. Top 5 at Eldridge Park as the good times keep on rolling for the Firebirds. They're well on their way to winning an 8th straight game, and Falmouth tied at 1 with Bourne, top 3 at Doran Park. Mike Roberts making a change. He's going to the bullpen as the first 2 Harbor Hawks have reached here in the 7th against Taylor Lehman. 11-1 score. 2 on, nobody out in the 7th. Newstrom will be the batter, and a new righty coming on. Looks like it's Chase Sugart out of the pen. We'll have more information on Sugart, as well as the rest of this top of the 7th, all on the other side on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Welcome back to picturesque Lowell Park on this Sunday, July 2nd. Appreciate you tuning into this one. It's an 11-1 ball game as we play on in the top half of the 7th. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you, and doesn't seem like trouble really brewing for Cottuit, but Mike Roberts apparently sensed so because he has pulled Taylor Lehman after Lehman faced 2 batters, both of which reached, and Chase Sugar, the closer, into the game, and a 10-run ball game here in the top of the 7th. So far, so good for Chase. A 3.37 ERA in 5 appearances out of the bullpen, 8 hits allowed in 8 innings, 5 strikeouts as well. He'll face the lefty Newstrom, who bats from the left side and looks at a first pitch fastball that misses high, a 1-0 count on the Hyannis 9-hitter.
You wonder what exactly Mike Roberts saw that was alarming out of Taylor Lehman. I mean, obviously he walked the last batter he faced, but that's just one walk in a really, really small sample size. The hit really wasn't Lehman's fault.
1-0, chopped high up the first baseline. Cresto fields in fair territory, now bobbles, and that's going to be the 3rd error of the game on John Cresto, allowing Robert Newstrom to reach at first base. The bases are loaded, nobody out for the top of the lineup and Reese Hampton.
Wonder if the sun played some tricks on John Cresto there. He had to back up at first base and wait on a high in-between hop, and when he backed up to a portion of that first base cutout that is sun-drenched after initially being in a portion of the cutout that was engrossed by shadows. So the ball was probably coming from a shadow. It's a white object that you have to pick up all of a sudden in the sunlight, and it simply popped out of his glove.
I think you're right on it, Matt, that time. Hampton from the left side swings at a first pitch fastball and chops it up the first baseline, foul. It's 0-1. There's sunlight from pretty much straightaway center over toward the right field foul pole in the outfield, but on the infield there are those trees that are pretty much encompassing maybe a 10-foot radius around first base right now, and then sun where John Cresto currently standing back behind the base runner at first, Newstrom. 0-1, foul out of play down the left field line this time. It's 0-2. And as you said, Matt, John had to backpedal into the sunlight with that high chopper hit up near his head where he was trying to glove it, and you figure that sun probably played a role. It is the 3rd error for Cresto today, as Hampton batting from the left side, 1 for 3 with a double all the way back in the first. The 0-2 from Sugar, fastball swung on, line to Alexander at second, under his glove into right field. Jalila scores. Here comes Dom DiCaprio standing up. He scores as well. 11-3 ball game as Newstrom moves up to second. Hampton at first, and that going to be scored an error as well. E4 that time, allowing 2 runs to come home. And the Harbor Hawks down by 8, but still nobody out in the 7th, and Jake Mangum coming up. Mentioned the explanation for the last error by Cresto is that sunlight. Don't think you can say the same about the error for Luke Alexander. That whole area out by second base completely sun-drenched right now, and Alexander moved to his left, put the glove down, and the ball just went past the glove, either to the right or left of it, into right field. So again, 2-run score, 11-3 ball game, and Mangum, the switch hitter, stepping in to the left side with 2 on and nobody out here in the 7th. Sugart steps off. He was staring Newstrom back to the second base bag, and now Chase licks his right hand, grabs the baseball, and comes set again on the third base side of the pitching rubber. Delivering a first pitch fastball to Mangum. High chopper up the middle. Fielded by Alexander, who flips to Avant for 1. No return throw onto first because the speedy Jake Mangum full speed down to first base that time. A really nice play. Nice rebound that time for Alexander, who gloved and flipped to Avant for 1. Hampton retired going to second base, and Minner on the corners with 1 out for Micah Coffey.
As much as the combination of Justin Hooper and Adam Scott were cruising through this game's first 6 innings on the mound for Cottuit, and perhaps allowing the infielders to lull themselves to sleep a bit, they have been reawoken here in the top of the 7th. Ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. And the Kettleers infielders have had to be on their toes. They've looked a little sloppy at times, but I agree with you, Will. That was a nice play by Alexander there on an in-between hop. He then flipped to second to make sure he gets at least 1.
Back pick down to third on an outside strike call, and the runner at third, Newstrom, back in safely. Martellini trying to catch him napping. 0-1 count on Coffey, who's 0 for 2 with a walk so far in this one. Cone in just past the grass at third. Cresto holding on the runner at first. That runner goes. Sugar throws to Alexander, and a balk called on Chase Sugar. He apparently didn't come set that time. Home plate umpire Joe Carrico all over it, but now Mike Roberts out to have a chat with Carrico. Roberts doesn't appear to agree with the call. So Sugar spun. He never really came set and threw to Alexander covering at second. They had Mangum picked off, but a balk is called. Mangum advances to second. Of course, Newstrom at third comes home. It's 11-4 now. Gian Martellini and Chase Sugar kind of staring in awe right now at the conversation between Roberts and Carrico. Sugar doesn't appear to agree with the call, but now he gets the ball back from Luke Alexander. It's back to the pitching rubber as Mike Roberts continues to bark at Joe Carrico.
I know it's a balk, Will, if you throw to a base where there's no runner. I don't know if it's a balk if you spin to a base and just kind of bluff where there's no runner. And I think that's what Mike Roberts is arguing here, and I think home plate umpire Joe Carrico is saying it's got to be a balk because Chase Sugar looked towards second and there was no runner at second base.
Coach Roberts certainly not agreeing with the explanation he's receiving from Joe Carrico still.
Do you know the official judgment on that? It doesn't happen very often
Sure.
because
When a
pitchers
runner is
don't
going,
often, pitchers don't often spin towards a base where there's not a batter or not a base runner.
0-1 count, one out. Mangum at second. Here's the pitch. It misses outside. Count now even at 1-1 on Micah Coffey. 3 runs already home for Hyannis in this top half of the 7th on just one hit. A couple errors committed by Cottuit as well as a walk. The 1-1 in from Sugar. Fastball misses outside, 95 miles an hour. And the count 2 balls, 1 strike on the Hyannis 3-hitter, Micah Coffey.
The more I think about that play, Will, the more I'm convinced that that's the rule that Joe Carrico invoked because Chase Sugar did throw to second base. I think Carrico decided it was a pickoff attempt and there was no runner at second base, so it had to be a balk in his mind.
2-1, Coffey swings and fouls it out of play.
Admittedly, my balk knowledge isn't as high as it should be, but strangely enough, I saw this exact play in a high school game, surprise, surprise, about a month ago, and that's the exact ruling on that play as well.
So it doesn't matter if the runner Mangum is headed towards second.
You got to go to first.
Yeah. 2-2 into Coffey. Swung on, chopped high up the third baseline. Going to be a tough play for Sugar, who throws wide of Cresto into the right field corner. Coming around to score easily is Mangum. Coffey rounding second and heading toward third base, where he'll be in safely as Griffin Conine throws into the infield. An error on Sugar at that time, the 5th of the ball game for Cottuit. It's 11-5. You could see that play coming, Matt. Sugar pouncing off of the mound. Got to that high chopper quickly enough, but then as he was getting the ball out of his glove, he kind of double clutched. Didn't appear to have a good handle on the baseball and threw well wide of Cresto at first into foul territory down the right field line. So the batter will be Hunter Stovall. 1 out, 4 runs home for Hyannis here in the 7th. An 11-5 ball game, and Micah Coffey at third. Cottuit, which came in tied for second in the league as Stovall looks at a first pitch fastball on the inner half. It's 0-1. Tied for second with the Harwich Mariners with just 13 errors committed coming into this one. Have seen that number balloon up to 18, which will be bottom of the pack. 0-1, breaking ball, taken over at the knees. 0-2 now on Stovall. Hunter Stovall 0 for 3 in this one. Couple ground outs as well as a pop-up to Chandler Avant his last time up. 0-2 pitch from Sugar. Breaking ball taken in the dirt. Nicely blocked by Martellini. It's 1-2. So Hyannis scoring 4 here in the 7th on just 1 hit. It was the leadoff infield single from Jalila. Then a walk. 2 straight errors, a fielder's choice, and then another error. 1-2 breaking ball in the dirt. Again blocked by Martellini. Count even on Hunter Stovall.
It's just been ground ball after ground ball that has been slowly hit and has forced the Kettleer infielders to try and make a tough play. In their defense, these haven't been easy ground balls.
No. 2-2, Stovall swings and lines it to deep left field. Kinnaman back, still back, reaches up. That ball over his head and off the wall. Scoring from third is Coffey. Stovall holding up at second with a sharply hit stand-up double. And it's now 11-6. Hyannis within 5. Man at second, 1 out for Daniel Robinson, the 5-hitter.
Number 19, the left fielder, Central Michigan,
That by far the sharpest contact off the bat of any Harbor Hawk in the inning. Really the only time Hyannis made any sharp contact at all. As Mike Roberts out to the mound to meet with the entire infield. Looks like a lefty is warming in the Cottuit bullpen. If my knowledge of that bullpen is right, man, I'm going to guess that's Austin Kitchen warming up. I don't think any other lefties are available for Mike Roberts.
I think you're right.
Doesn't look like Coach Roberts going to make a change just yet. Everybody kind of standing around right now. And now Joe Carrico out to the mound to break up the pitcher's mound party right now. So again to recap, single, walk, error, ground out, error, double. That's led to the 5 runs for Hyannis. An 11-1 score coming into the inning, now 11-6. As Carrico continues to just stand there out on the mound. Mike Roberts not in any rush to head back toward the dugout. And now Coach Roberts is making the slow walk back to the Cottuit dugout. Sugar going to stay in. The batter will be Robinson, who bats from the left side facing the righty Chase Sugart.
Have we advanced from unnecessary angst to necessary angst in this game now, Will?
I don't think so just yet in a 5-run game, but the insurance runs that Cottuit put up on the scoreboard looking much better at this point. First pitch into Robinson taken over the heart of the zone for strike 1. What about you? Are you angsty at this point? Are you anxious?
I don't know. No.
Let's see how this rest of the 7th plays out, I suppose. Just 1 out. 0-1 into Daniel Robinson. Breaking ball in the dirt. Runner at second. Stovall running toward third, and he slides in safely. Gian Martellini nicely blocking that pitch, but it squirted away a few feet too far. Another wild pitch for Cottuit, and Stovall at third. A 1-1 count on Robinson. Daniel Robinson 0 for 3. He's grounded out to Luke Alexander at second, and all 3 plate appearances so far. 1 out, man at third, 11-6 ball game as the 1-1 from Sugar. Fastball misses high at 94. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike on the 5-hitter, Daniel Robinson. Ryan Olenek is on deck. Dakota Jalila, who led off the inning, in the hole. 2-1 from Sugar. Fastball swung on chop to Cresto at first. He bobbles, now regroups, and tosses to Chase Sugar, covering at first for a big out number 2. Hunter Stovall does come home to score the 6th run of the inning. The score now 11-7. An RBI ground out for Robinson, and Olenek will come up with nobody on and 2 outs here in the 7th. You feel like all of Lowell Park breathing a big sigh of relief after Cresto eventually made that play. A big 2nd out. And Olenek bats from the right side and looks at a first pitch fastball that misses a bit high. It's 1-0.
I hate to make it this way, Will, but this is who these two teams are. They just haven't pitched it really well through the first almost half of the season.
1-0 into Olenek, swung on and fouled out of play down the right field line as Conine over to have a look. It's 1-1.
We talked about Hyannis' woes statistically a couple innings ago. Now that the Kettleers have given up 6 here in the top of the 7th, it's only fair to point out the numbers for Cottuit. 4.83 ERA, that's 2nd worst. Highest batting average against.
1-1, chop to the right side past a diving Luke Alexander into right field. 3rd hit of the inning for Hyannis. The inning just won't end, and Dakota Jalila, who again led off this top of the 7th with an infield single, will bat here with 2 outs in the 7th.
3rd worst whip for Cottuit, and the 4th fewest strikeouts. Just to finish up those numbers, and all that is borne out here tonight at Lowell Park. Could have some shootouts between these two teams as the year goes on.
Jalila first pitch swinging, fouls one out of play down the right field line. Completely with you, Matt. You make a very valid point. To play devil's advocate here briefly, all 4 runs that Sugart has allowed here in the 7th have been unearned. The 2 issued to Lehman are earned runs, so now just 2 out of the 7 runs Hyannis has scored will count toward that lofty ERA for the Kettleers. 0-1 fouled out of play. It's 0-2.
I've never been a fan of the unearned run, though, when the pitcher makes an error.
Sure.
Not that it matters. Just kind of throwing that out there.
I'm with you, too. That's statistical anomaly in baseball. Errors by Cresto and Alexander here in the 7th, as well as Olenek back in safely. But I'm totally with you. The error from Sugar was a big one in this inning, and those do go down as unearned runs, even though Chase kind of earned them by making the miscue. 0-2 misses in the dirt to Jalila. It's 1-2. Dakota Jalila 1 for 1. Again, he led off this inning with the infield single that innocently enough trickled down the third baseline. 1-2 into Sugar, or into Jalila rather. Chopped on the ground to the shortstop. Avant, who's up with it, and throws to Cresto for the third out here in the 7th. But the Harbor Hawks add 5 and make it 6 rather, and after 6.5 innings of play now from Lowell Park, things getting a bit more anxious in Cottuit. It's an 11-7 score as we head to the bottom half of the 7th on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Things getting a bit more tense here at Lowell Park as we move right along to the bottom half of the 7th. Take Me Out to the Ball Game has been successfully sung, and Brett Kinnaman, Miles Lewis, and Luke Alexander, the 3 scheduled hitters for Cottuit, against Connor Green, out for inning number 3. Maybe surprisingly, he delivers a first pitch fastball into Kinnaman that misses outside, and it's 1-0. Will Greer and Matt Rigby alongside you. This ball game 2 hours, 15 minutes old as we play on in the bottom half of the 7th. Kinnaman 1 for 3 so far today. Looks at a 1-0 fastball that also misses outside. It's 2-0. It was 11-1 heading to the last half inning. We were joking about incorporating this day in baseball history at some point. 2-0. Kinnaman watches an outside fastball that's called a strike. It's 2-1. But I'm going to hold off on that for now. This just being a 4-run ball game. Cottuit still with a comfortable lead, but things getting less comfortable as the 2-1 skied on the infield. The second baseman Stovall ranges back. He's caught off by the center fielder Reese Hampton, who charges in and gloves for out number 1. Dakota Jalila has taken over for Ford Proctor at shortstop.
Bet Jalila didn't think he would get 2 at-bats when he came on as a pinch hitter before he even watched a pitch as a fielder. That's what happened when Hyannis batted around in that top of the 7th. 10 men ultimately came to the plate for the Harbor Hawks. And strangely enough, they pick up 6 runs on just 4 hits.
6 runs, just 2 earned runs for Hyannis. First pitch swinging is Lewis. He sprays it down the left field line in foul territory. Coffey over the third baseman, and he gloves in foul territory for out number 2. Couldn't see that time, the chain link fence obstructing our view down the left field line. But it looked like a really nice play made by the third baseman Coffey, who gloved in foul territory for the second out. And Luke Alexander comes up with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Connor Green, the righty out of Ole Miss, settling in nicely out on the mound. Delivers a first pitch fastball into his college rival Luke Alexander that gets the lower half of the strike zone. It's 0-1. Green working quickly, the high leg kick and the 0-1. Cued toward the Hyannis dugout. Foul down the first baseline. It's 0-2. Alexander 1 for 1 so far in this ballgame. A sacrifice bunt in the second, an RBI single in the third, and a bases loaded RBI walk in the fifth. The 0-2 from Green, fastball. This time lines sharply off the backstop area down the first base line. It's 0-2. Infield now almost entirely engulfed in the shadows. Just some streaks of sunlight on the right side of the infield. 0-2. Alexander jammed. He loops it in a shallow right center. Diving attempt from Hampton. He cannot come up with it. The right fielder Newstrom backing up nicely. That will keep Luke Alexander at first base. A 2-for-2 day at the plate for Luke. And he's at first for Thomas Dillard here in the seventh.
Reese Hampton sure plays with his hair on fire, doesn't he, Will? We saw him make a very similar play a few nights ago at McKeon Park. He didn't glove that one either in that 12-6 Kettleers victory. I said at the time that he eventually pounced on the ball because it kind of crawled up his back, and if he hadn't, it might have been a triple. I forget who hit it for the Kettleers at the time. Same thing there. If he doesn't land on that baseball, Luke Alexander might run for a while.
His Twitter handle, Reese Hampton's the center fielder, Run Reese Run. One of the most accurate Twitter handles I've ever found. As the first pitch into Dillard misses low, it's 1-0.
I can't believe you and I both noticed the same thing about Reese Hampton. I don't check Twitter handles on every opposing player.
I don't either, yeah.
But I checked that one.
It just came up, and it's worth mentioning because that's the way he plays baseball. 1-0, changeup misses low, now 2-0.
See, I think I wrote in my notes that his handle says Run Reese Run, but maybe it should say Hit Reese Hit. I was trying to be cute, I guess.
That, of course, because he came in with the number 3 average in the league. 2-0. Fastball misses inside. The all miss matchup now. Green versus Dillard. Going the way of Thomas Dillard so far as Connor Green adjusts his cap back behind the mound before delivering the 3-0. Alexander at first, an 11-7 ball game here, bottom 7. 2 outs as Green delivers a 3-0. Fastball that misses inside, ball 4. Thomas Dillard works a nice at-bat that time. 2 straight base runners have reached against the righty Green, and the top of the order comes up. Griffin Conine with 2 outs here in the 7th. Fans, want to remind you at home that Cape Cod Baseball, as always, is brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center. The Harbor Hawks pitching coach out to the mound to have a chat with Dom DiCaprio, the catcher, as well as the pitcher, obviously, Connor Green. Mentioned it before this half inning began, but was a little bit surprised that Green was out for this inning. He's gone 2 2/3. He's allowed 4 runs, just one of which was earned, 4 hits as well. 2 walks and 2 strikeouts, and it looks like Connor Green is going to stay in this ball game. You'd think the message was something to the extent of throw strikes, but then you look at the man coming up for Cottuit, and maybe there was more to that message with Griffin Conine stepping in, Matt.
Man, it would be a bold play to really pitch around Conine here. You wouldn't ever intentionally walk him, but it's already 2-1. It's already a 4-run game. I guess, what do you have to lose if you just kind of nibble? But Chandler Avant's on deck, and he's already got a home run tonight.
He's 2 for 4 as Avant. First pitch into Griffin. Change up that gets the lower half of the strike zone. It's 0-1.
Maybe the conversation was about feeding Griffin Conine secondary pitches just like that one. You and I have talked over the last couple weeks when Conine's been in a bit of a slump, and most of the reason for that is that he's been seeing everything but fastball.
0-1. Change-up misses outside. 1-1 now.
You and I each talked about as well, having never really seen up here in 2 summers a hitter pitch that way, where he never sees a fastball almost all night long.
Time called. Griffin steps out before the 1-1. Green was ready to deliver that pitch, but now has to hold his horses out on the mound.
Guess that's the respect he's earned already.
When you're batting over 500, as Conine was through 9 or 10 games, if memory serves, it makes sense that teams would start to take notice. 1-1, fastball gets the outer half. 1-2 now.
That was a fastball.
Yeah. Placed well by Connor Green. We're watching the home run derby last night, Matt. Griffin obviously taking place in that, and he's direction to his dad, Jeff Conine, who threw him pitches at the home run derby in Omaha. As Green spins off before the 1-2, was up and in, Dad. Keep him coming, up and in.
Poor Jeff didn't really keep him up and in either.
It's a time format. You get 4 minutes to hit as many home runs as you can, and if you have a pitcher that can't really locate, that does come back to haunt you. 1-2, Conine swings, sprays it the other way. The left fielder Robinson back on his horse onto the warning track, and gloves up against the fence for out number 3. Another outside fastball from Connor Green. Conine almost sent it out of here with a good opposite field swing, but he cannot do so, and Cottuit cannot add to their 4-run lead in their half of the 7th. We'll head to the 8th now from Lowell Park. Chase Sugar out for his second consecutive inning, an 11-7 score on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Four-run lead for Cottuit as we move right along to the 8th inning from Lowell Park. Chase Sugar out for inning number 2, and here to take you the rest of the way tonight, Matt Rigby.
All right, Will, thank you very much. 26 pitches in relief in the top of the 7th for Chase Sugar, as the first pitch of the top of the 8th is fouled back off the screen by Dominic DiCaprio for strike 1. DiCaprio, Newstrom, Hampton, 8-9-1. The 3 due up for Hyannis as they bat down by 4 runs. Still a very, very healthy crowd here at Lowell Park on this Sunday night. A 1 pitch, another swing and a miss from DiCaprio, and it's 0-2. DiCaprio was the second man up in that 6-run 7th inning for Hyannis. An inning in which the Harbor Hawks sent 10 men to the plate. DiCaprio walked and eventually scored. He also has an RBI double tonight. The 0-2 breaking ball misses just low and away for ball 1. I'd say hypothesized unpaid original attendance tonight, Will, as the 1-2 pitch misses upstairs to Dom DiCaprio and it's even, was probably the largest that we've had at Lowell Park so far this season. I was a bit worried that when the game was 11-1, people would file out for the 3rd straight game here because it was another blowout, but at least Hyannis has made it competitive and given the people something to see. The 2-2, DiCaprio wastes it away foul back behind the screen, and we'll do it once more.
These probably going to be 2 of the best crowds all summer at Lowell Park, not including any playoff crowds yet to come, with it being 4th of July weekend. And, of course, we're here 2 days from now on the 4th when Falmouth comes to town for the 2nd time this summer.
2-2 pitch to DiCaprio, and he gets just a piece to stay alive. We'll be back at Falmouth on Wednesday. And I'm skipping a little bit ahead because tomorrow, before that 4th of July game against the Commodores on Tuesday, we'll be in Wareham at Spillane Field for the first time all year. 2-2, DiCaprio again spoils it foul. What a treat, huh, Will?
It's great. A great time in Wareham.
We'll be sitting on top of the dugout.
Sit right over top the Cottuit dugout on this little wooden platform. You have to climb a ladder up to get to. An interesting place to call a baseball game from.
The 2-2, DiCaprio again spoils it foul. We'll be talking in hushed tones on top of the Kettleer dugout. so as not to bother the players, of course. Next pitch to DiCaprio will be the 9th of the at-bat. Here it comes, and DiCaprio again wastes it foul, as he'll see a 10th. 6 foul balls already in this at-bat created by DiCaprio, and 5 in a row. Nothing coming easy for the Kettleers here, despite once holding a 10-run lead. Sugar gets the sign from Martellini. The kick and another 2-2. Again, a foul ball towards the right side, as DiCaprio was late on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but on time enough to stay alive for another pitch. There is some action in the Cottuit pen. Looks like Austin Kitchen's still warming. Sugar gets the sign, another 2-2, and a swing and a miss as he finally retires Dom DiCaprio on a high heater for out number 1.
Looked like Chase took a little bit off that time. He was coming in consistently at 95, 96 miles an hour, and that time just at 92, which doesn't sound like a lot, but maybe enough to get it by DiCaprio, who swung through finally for out number 1.
An 11-pitch battle that Chase Sugart eventually wins, and now Robert Newstrom will be the batter. Newstrom so far tonight 0 for 3. Came into tonight a really hot hitter, 6 for his last 22 with 2 homers and 7 ribbies in that span. But Kettleer pitching's done a good job controlling him. First pitch to Newstrom, breaking ball that misses down and in from Sugart at 81. And it's 1-0. Newstrom attends the University of Iowa. The 1-0 pitch on the outside corner for strike 1. We'll mention this when we were in Hyannis a few nights ago. But the Hawkeyes put together a pretty good season this year. They won the Big Ten tournament, thus earning themselves an NCAA tournament bid. They went to the Houston Regional. First the 1-1. Swung on and popped up by Newstrom. Shallow center. Backing up Avant. Moving in Lewis. Avant will have it all the way as he gloves it for out number 2. They actually did the Hawkeyes pushed the Cougars to the brink in that regional.
They beat Houston in game number 1 and then eventually lost as Houston came out of the losers bracket.
I believe A&M won that regional, right?
Yep.
Cinderella run nonetheless for Iowa. First pitch to Reese Hampton now is over for a strike, 0-1.
Iowa also upset Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament in a 13-inning ball game, and somebody wrote about Micah Coffey, the starting third baseman for Hyannis.
Oh, one skips all the way to the backstop and the count's even.
And Robert Newstrom joking with Micah Coffey, coming up to Cape Cod this summer, being teammates here for Hyannis in this Cape Cod Baseball League, of course.
It's a Big Ten tournament you and I had our eyes peeled to back in late May. The 1-1 pitch, Hampton swings, lifts it to straightaway center again. Avant backing up again. Lewis initially broke back, now has to charge in and makes the one-handed catch on the run to retire the side. A long first batter battle between Sugart and DiCaprio, but eventually, or ultimately rather, Chase Sugart retires the side in order. We'll move to the home half of the 8th. It's still 11-7 Kettleers on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. The proud Lobo, Christian Tripp, out of the University of New Mexico, is the new pitcher on for Hyannis in the bottom of the 8th. He's looking to keep the score right where it is. Kettleers looking to add some more insurance runs in an 11-7 ball game here as we play just after 7:30 on this Sunday evening at Lowell Park. Chandler Avant leads things off in the home half of the 8th and takes the first pitch fastball that misses away at 94 miles an hour for ball 1. Tripp so far this year for Hyannis has that aforementioned lone sub-2 ERA out of the Harbor Hawk bullpen. 1-0 pitch misses inside at 91, 2-0. Tripp has appeared in 6 games, no starts, all out of the pen. He's got a 1-0 record, a 1.93 ERA, and 9 innings and a third. 2-0 misses outside and low, 3-0. He's given up 11 hits, though, so he's worked his way into and out of trouble all year. He struck out 8 and walked just 1. He's fallen behind 3-0 here to Avant, though, in the pitch on the outside corner. Avant taking all the way, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. 11 runs, 13 hits, 5 errors for Cottuit. 7 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for Hyannis. Avant swings at the 3-1, loops it into shallow center. Hampton hesitated, now has to charge in, and makes the catch at his knees for out number 1.
Run, Reese, run. Nice defensive play that time. Had to range in quite a ways to glove that fly ball off the bat of Avant. And a nice first out for Hyannis here in the 8th.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but I don't think we've looked at the out-of-town scoreboard all game. We were set to do it. We have? Okay, I'm wrong.
Do it again.
That's fine. I'll do it again. We were set to do quite a few things when the score was 11-1. That's what it was when we started playing the 7th. As John Cresto pounds the first pitch foul towards his own dugout, 0-1. Hyannis scored 6 in the top of the 7th, however. And I guess we had to refocus. Anyway, bottom of the 8th at Spillane Field, Wareham working on a shutout. They lead YD 4-0. A 1 pitch to Cresto. Beats it into the ground, foul, 0-2. I mentioned it during the pregame, but in case you weren't tuning in, Wareham sent their ace to the mound tonight. Justin Montgomery had made 2 starts. He hadn't given up a run yet. And he has another scoreless start under his belt tonight. We'll probably wake up tomorrow morning with Montgomery, the Cape League's leader in ERA. He didn't have enough innings to qualify coming into tonight, but he should going into tomorrow. The 0-2 pitch to Cresto misses low and away, 1-2. Revenge game, as Will called it a few innings ago. Now I remember you doing the out-of-town scoreboard. Harwich leads Chatham 7-3 in the bottom of the 8th from White House Field. Harwich looking to cut their deficit to the Anglers for the 4th spot in the East to half a game. The 1-2 to Cresto misses down and in, 2-2. Orleans back at it, Will. Firebirds don't lose. Tonight they're pitching it, or pitching their way to what would be their 8th win in a row and their 11th in 12 games. They lead Brewster 5-1, bottom 7 at Eldridge Park. And the only other game taking place right now across the Cape League, first the 2-2 to Cresto, misses upstairs, 3-2. Is at Doran Park, where Falmouth leads Bourne 5-3, top 5. Winner of that game will move into sole possession of first in the Cape League's Western Division. John Cresto's worked his way into a full count here. The kick and the pitch from Tripp. Cresto grounds it foul up the third baseline. And there'll be another payoff pitch. Cresto so far tonight, 1 for 4. Had an RBI double his first time up back in the 1st. That got the scoring going tonight for Cottuit. He then struck out looking in the 2nd, a pop out and a ground out since. Tripp gets the sign, now the payoff pitch, and Cresto gets another piece of it to stay alive. If time allows in this half inning, Will, I still want to hear This Day in Baseball. I at least want to hear it. I don't know if I'll opine. But you've got me intrigued, I guess.
The best ones we had last summer, Matt, were when they were Mets themed and you did not know that they were coming beforehand.
Payoff pitch to Cresto, big swing and a miss for strike 3. Go ahead.
Let me find it. Might have exited out of the tab.
Oh no, I should have warned you. Meanwhile, Zach Cohn will be the batter with 2 away and the bases clear.
Gotta be ready when you toss to me like that. It's my bad that time.
Usually our chemistry's better. Still working out the kinks in, what is it for us now? Game 65 together. First pitch to Cone, misses down and in, 1-0.
All right, here we go. Ready? In 2000 at Shea Stadium, Mets fan Gregory Sweeney was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment after he threw a ball which a Braves reliever, John Rocker, had tossed into the stand back onto the field.
1-0 pitch over for a strike, 1-1.
So Sweeney the fan gets the free souvenir, tosses it back onto the field where it came from. But then a few days later, after he was arrested for this reckless endangerment charge, the 26-year-old Sweeney was exonerated as the Queens District Attorney.
1-1, swing and a miss for Cone, 1-2.
Richard Brown concluded that Mr. Sweeney had no criminal intent and was doing nothing more than following a baseball tradition of returning an unsolicited and unwanted souvenir.
Public enemy number 1 in New York, John Rocker, the 1-2. Big swing and a miss from Zach Cone for strike 3, and the side is retired. Perhaps more on that when we come back in the top of the 9th. Cottuit, with nothing across in the bottom of the 8th, brings a 4-run lead to the top of inning number 9, looking for 3 outs and looking to climb back to 500. Chase Sugar will be back on the mound to pick up those final 3 outs. Come back and see if he does so on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Matt Rigby and Will Greer back for the top of the 9th. 11-7, Cotuit leads Hyannis, looking for their 9th win of the season and looking to climb back to 500. Chase Sugar, who's already 2 innings deep in his relief outing tonight and is already 43 pitches deep as well, will be tasked with picking up the final 3 outs as he faces Jake Mangum, Micah Coffey, and Hunter Stovall. First pitch to Mangum, spoiled foul towards the left side for strike 1. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. 11 runs, 13 hits, 5 errors for Cottuit. 7 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for Hyannis. The 0-1 pitch to Mangum. Fastball that he spoils away, foul again, and it's 0-2. 2 of those 5 errors were committed by John Cresto, playing out of position at first tonight. He has been replaced. 3 of the errors, I'm told, committed by Cresto. He has been replaced by Thomas Dillard at first base. Here for this top of the 9th. If Hyannis ties, the pitcher will hit in the 3-hole, Joe Carrico told us in between innings. The 0-2, Mangum spoils it just foul up the third baseline, and it's 1-2. Normally in this situation, I would say that Dillard is brought in for defense, but I really don't know what Thomas Dillard's capabilities are at first base because we haven't seen him there yet this year, and because he primarily DH'd and caught at Ole Miss during his freshman season just completed. The 0-2 pitch, Mangum swings, knocks it right back through the box for a base hit. 90 miles an hour on that fastball from Chase Sugar. His velocity's dipped a bit as he's reached the 50-pitch threshold over the last couple innings. And Hyannis, down by 4, as a leadoff base runner. That's exactly what they need, is base runners here in the top of the 9th. Micah Coffey, the batter now. I'm told Thomas Dillard didn't play any first base at Ole Miss this year. Now he's holding a runner on at first in Mangum. First pitch to Coffey. Fastball for a strike at 92 on the outer black. And it's 0-1. Coffey so far tonight has been on base twice. He earned his way once, didn't the second time. He walked in the third, reached via an error, and scored in the seventh. That error was charged to Chase Sugar. Second battle between these two. Sugar throws over before the 0-1. And Mangum slides back in. Final 3 outs are always the toughest to get. Kettleers looking to close the door on Hyannis and take their second of the year against the Harbor Hawks. 0-1 pitch swung on and dumped into shallow right. That'll get down in front of Conine. Moving up to second is Mangum. Up to first with a second straight single to begin the top of the ninth is Coffey. And Hyannis has 2 on with nobody out in the tying run in the on-deck circle.
Looks like Austin Kitchen is just kind of mulling about down the left field line in the Cottuit bullpen. And now it looks like he is picking his glove back up as I peer down there. A bullpen catcher scrambling to get his mask back on. So I believe Kitchen will resume throwing out there.
Kitchen's been throwing out there for 3 innings. You wonder how many times you can get him restarted.
Yeah, he's stretching once again right now. And that is Kitchen. It looks like a southpaw out there. And the only southpaw remaining in the Cottuit bullpen is Austin Kitchen.
Mike Roberts is a step out of the dugout, issuing commands to his outfield and infield defense, but no mound visit. Now the first pitch to the batter, Hunter Stovall, is a fastball, no breaking ball for a strike on the outer black. It's 0-1. Stovall so far tonight, 1 for 4, had an RBI double his last time up in that 6-run seventh. The 0-1 pitch to Stovall. Breaking ball misses low, 1-1. Chase Sugart starts Stovall with a pair of breaking balls. Sugart clearly looking for a ground ball here. And a pitcher's best friend, a double play when he absolutely needs one. Stovall wiggles the bat, stands just 5'8". Now awaits the 1-1 from Sugart. Sugart comes set, the kick and the pitch. Another breaking ball and another strike. Good front door slider there from Chase Sugart at 82 miles an hour. And the count goes to 1-2. Hunter Stovall has hit into 3 double plays so far this year, despite having good speed. Sugart comes set, the 1-2. Stovall watches it miss just off the outside corner. And it's 2-2. Jean Martellini looked like he tried to present that ball on the outer black. It popped out of his glove, and that may have ultimately cost him strike 3. Small leads at first and second for Coffey and Mangum respectively. Another 2-2 pitch to Stovall. Breaking ball sits high, 3-2. That was a fastball actually at 93. And the count to Hunter Stovall goes full.
We'll see with Sugart what Sugart comes with here. So many breaking balls in a row into Stovall. I believe that was the first fastball of the at-bat, and it missed nowhere close upstairs.
Robinson is the man in the on-deck circle representing the tying run. He's a lefty. And again, the lefty warming in the bullpen for Cottuit is Austin Kitchen. Payoff pitch to Stovall. He swings right through it at 91 miles an hour. It's a huge strikeout for Chase Sugart for out number 1.
Pitch of the game that time for Cottuit. And Sugart ends the guessing game here in the broadcast booth. Came with a fastball right up the middle, maybe a bit elevated, and Stovall was well late. Couldn't time it up. Around 93 miles an hour from Chase, and big news for Cottuit, and out here in the ninth.
Coming into tonight, Hunter Stovall had 38 at-bats. He had struck out just 5 times. He went 0 for 4, 1 for 4 to start tonight without a strikeout. So now through 43 at-bats, Chase Sugart picks up just the 6th strikeout of Hunter Stovall in the biggest spot of the game. Daniel Robinson takes the first pitch fastball up and away for ball 1. Tying run still is in the on-deck circle in the form of Ryan Olenek. But Chase Sugart is now very conceivably just 1 ground ball away from getting out of this game. The 1-0 pitch to Robinson. Fastball on the inside corner for strike 1. Should a ground ball be hit, Micah Coffey has decent speed at first. And Robinson, with 5 steals already this year, has good speed out of the box. The 1-1 pitch to Robinson. Fastball that he laces over the third baseman Cohn's head and down the left field line. Mangum getting waved around. No, now he puts the brakes on at third. He stumbles a bit. The throw comes in too late, though, as Mangum trots back to the bag. Chad Gassman not being too aggressive with just one out, and still the score 11-7 here in the top of the 7th. As it's station to station for Hyannis, they now have loaded the bases. There's just one out in the top of the 9th, and the tying run is coming to the plate in the form of Ryan Olenek.
You called it, Matt. Gassman not wanting to send Mangum because it is the 4-run deficit still, and Mangum's run matters, but doesn't matter so much that you'd risk running into an out at the plate. And crunch time now for Chase Sugar and Cottuit. Really didn't think we'd get to this point in this game, but now you got to deliver on the mound.
First pitch to Olenek. He swings and rifles it foul towards the right field side, out of play. It's 0-1. Olenek has not homered this year. He does have 4 runs driven in, and he's 1 for 4 so far tonight. He's reached twice, a single in the 7th, and reached via a John Cresto error back in the 4th. In an 0-1 hole here, the kick and the pitch. He swings, grounds it towards first. Dillard gloves it. He's going to have to win a foot race to the bag. He does so. That's the only out he'll get. Mangum comes in to score, but it's a huge second out, induced on a ground ball to the first baseman Dillard by Sugar. And even more importantly there, Will, Thomas Dillard with some nice defense at a position he's unaccustomed to.
Yeah, what we hear from behind us in the broadcast booth a couple minutes ago, that Dillard didn't play a single game at first base at Ole Miss this season. He's a catcher by trade, played some outfield as well, but did nicely that time to get down to a knee, make sure he fielded that ground ball, and won the race to the bag.
So here's Dakota Jalila. Second and third still with 2 outs. Jalila attacks the first pitch. It hits the runner. That's game over, as the runner Robinson will be out in between second and third. What a weird way to end it here at Lowell Park. There's no official put out for the final out of the game, and the Kettleers defeat Hyannis by a score of 11-8. Not sure I've ever seen that to end a game, Will Greer, but Cottuit will take it as they move to 9-9 now on the season. Back to 500, back on their climb up the standings in the Cape League's Western Division, and back to their winning ways at Lowell Park, most importantly. 11 runs, 13 hits, 5 errors for Cottuit, 8-11-1 for Hyannis. Game ends at 7:50, 2 hours and 50 minutes. We'll come back with the first segment of the Cotuit Kettleers post-game show. We'll also have What We Learned Tonight presented by Curry College, brought to you by Will Greer this evening, and a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup from Wareham. Right after this on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Matt Rigby back with you on the Cotuit Kettleers radio network, video network, Comcast Channel 99, whatever you want to term it, as the Kettleers wrap up an 11-8 victory over the Harbor Hawks here tonight from Lowell Park. I must correct myself because going to break I said 8 runs on 11 hits and 1 error for Hyannis. It's actually 8 runs on 12 hits and 1 error for the Harbor Hawks because the game came to an end in a way that I personally have never quite seen. Hyannis had runners on second and third. Dakota Jalila was the batter. He was the tying runner, at least he represented the tying run with 2 outs. He attacked the first pitch he saw from Chase Sugart, but it hit the batter, Daniel Robinson, in between second, or it hit the runner, Daniel Robinson, in between second and third. That meant Robinson was automatically the third out, but the batter, Jalila, gets credit for a hit. So in an oddity, the final batter of the game picks up a hit. And it's not in walk-off fashion. I'll have to look up how many times that has happened in Major League history. No chance of looking up how many times that has happened in Cape League history. But if by some miracle I find it out, I'll let you know. Anyway, 11-8, the final. Cottuit wins. 13 hits for the Kettleers. They do commit 5 errors tonight, 3 of which came from John Cresto at first, 1 from Luke Alexander at second, and 1 from Chase Sugart at first. But they get just enough offensively to overcome a 6-run top of the 7th from the Harbor Hawks. Cottuit once led this game 11-1, and although they make it closer than they'd like, an offensive outburst for the Kettleers tonight gets them back to 500 at 9-9. Hyannis falls to 7-10-1 on the season. That means that the Kettleers are now 2 full games clear of the Harbor Hawks. A game and a half clear of the Harbor Hawks. And Wareham, if they can hold on at home against YD, they were winning 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th. That last check, we'll get you a final score on that in a minute. Anyway, if they can hang on, they will move into sole possession of 4th, and Hyannis, for the first time this season, will be the odd team out in the Western Division. Justin Hooper was great tonight for the Kettleers. He gets the win. Best he's looked all season. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run. It was unearned, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Hooper throws 76 pitches, 1 wild pitch, 1 hit batsman, but he does induce 11 swings and misses over the course of his 5 innings on the mound. And he picks up his first win of the season. The losing pitcher for Hyannis was their starter, Jordan Martinson. Martinson wasn't long for this one. He lasts just 2 innings, gives up 6 hits, 5 runs. They were all earned. No walks and 2 strikeouts. The next 2 relievers for the Kettleers, or for Hyannis, did not fare too well either. Well, one of them did. 2 of the next 3 relievers didn't fare too well either. Ethan Larison gives up 3 hits, 2 runs in his lone inning, strikes out 1 and walks none. And then a couple innings later for Hyannis, Connor Green goes 3 strong-ish, 4 runs, 1 of which was earned, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So a mixed bag for Green to be certain. For Cottuit, the bullpen was shaky in the top of the 7th, as I already mentioned. In that top of the 7th, Kettleers gave up 6 runs, but only 3 of those runs were earned. Chase Sugart gets charged with 1. Taylor Lehman gets charged with 2, as Lehman started the inning, faced only 2 batters, and did not record an out. There was only 1 walk in the inning, but there were 8 Harbor Hawk hits and 3 Cotuit Kettleer errors. It made it closer than it had to be, and it ultimately allowed the tying run to come to the plate 3 different times in the top of the 9th for the Harbor Hawks as they come up just a bit too short. Time of the game, 2 hours and 50 minutes here from Lowell Park this evening. Hyannis ultimately leaves, let me count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 men on base. Cottuit, on the other hand, leaves just 5. Chase Sugart does get credit for the save. I'll check real quick what number save that is on the season for Sugart. Combing. It is number 2. And for Hooper, it is win number 1. He's now 1-1. Martinson, in his first start of the year, takes the loss to fall to 0-1. Box score looks pretty good for Cottuit hitters. Griffin Conine with perhaps the biggest hit of the game, a 3-run double in a 4-run Kettleer bottom of the 5th. Bases were loaded with 2 outs at the time when Conine came through. 3 ribbies for Griffin tonight and a walk make him back to 349 as a hitter this year and snap a long RBI drought for the leadoff hitter for Cottuit. Chandler Avant goes 2 for 5 with a home run. Zach Cohn 2 for 4, snapping a 5 for 30 skid. Sean Martellini continues to produce. He hits another home run tonight, his 3rd of the season. Drives in 2 more as he stays hot in a 2 for 3 night. Brett Kinnaman gets a hit. Miles Lewis gets a hit. Luke Alexander 2 for 2 with a walk and 2 driven in. Thomas Dillard gets his first home run of the season. Back in the second inning for Cotuit, he hit a 2-run shot. He also walks tonight as he reached base 2 separate times. And lastly, John Cresto goes 1 for 5 with an RBI and 2 strikeouts. All 9 Kettleers pick up base hits in this 11-8 victory. We'll step aside, and then Will Greer will have What We Learned Tonight presented by Curry College on the other end on the Cotuit Kettleers post-game show on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network.
Back at Lowell Park on this Sunday evening, 11-8 the final. Cottuit over the visiting Hyannis Harborhawks in game number 18 of the summer. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you, and now it's time for What We Learned Tonight, presented by our good friends at Curry College. Number 1, we learned that the Kettleers perhaps owe a big thank you to the great folks at Omaha's Epley Airfield, and more broadly to the magnificence of modern air travel. Griffin Conine, who participated in the CWS Home Run Derby last night in Omaha, caught an early flight this morning, got back to Lowell Park about an hour before this ball game began, and although it was just a blowout lead, increasing 3-run double at the time, Conine's bases-clearing hit in the 5th ended up being the difference maker in this 11-8 final. We learned number 2, that Justin Hooper, who idolizes Chris Sale and Randy Johnson, would have done his tall southpaw role models proud tonight. That's a mouthful. Hooper earned his first win of the summer. He went 5 clean innings, allowed just 1 unearned run on 4 hits. He struck out 4, and it looks like good times are ahead for the tall 6'7" lefty out of UCLA. And number 3, we learned that after a 12-6 final score on Thursday at Hyannis in Game 1, after an 11-8 score tonight in Game number 2, might we be on our way to the highest-scoring Barnstable Patriot Cup in the series' now 14-year history? Cottuit and Hyannis are seemingly becoming offensive-oriented squads, and with 4 meetings remaining between these two Barnstable rivals, we could be in for more firework-filled nights as these two teams go for the 2017 Barnstable Patriot Cup. Cottuit, of course, leading 2-0 now over their friends down Route 28. That's what we learned tonight, presented by Curry College. I want to remind you that you can earn a bachelor's or master's degree, complete a certificate, or take a single course through the Division of Continuing Education and Graduate Studies at Curry College. Classes run days, evenings, and weekends in both Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, criminal justice, education, nursing, and more, visit curry.edu. We'll step aside one more time here on the post-game show. On the other side, Matt Rigby will have a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll also preview tomorrow's pitching probables as Cottuit heading to Wareham Spillane Field for the first time all summer. You won't want to miss it. Come back on the other side here on the Cotuit Kettleers Radio Network.
Matt Rigby back on the Cotuit Kettleers video network. It's the Cotuit Kettleers postgame show. Final segment before we wrap things up on this Sunday evening from Lowell Park so you can start your work week tomorrow. Kettleers defeat the Hyannis Harbor Hawks once again by a final score of 11-8. Let's take a quick trip around the rest of the Cape League scoreboard. Wareham does indeed hold on to defeat YD 4-0. I told you a couple segments ago, so about 5 minutes ago, that I would give you that score ultimately as the postgame show went along. If you stayed tuned just for it, your persistence pays off. Justin Montgomery has now worked 17 scoreless innings on the mound for the Gatemen. He goes 5 scoreless tonight to pick up the victory, and the California Baptist righty has been the ace of the entire league so far. Wareham now on the season is 8-10. They jump over Hyannis, who is just 7-10-1 after tonight's loss, and if the season ended today, although that's a very premature caveat, Wareham would qualify for the playoffs as the 4 seed. Harwich does exact their revenge against Chatham. They get the back end of the home and home to split that home and home. Each home team won. After Chatham defeated Harwich last night on a walk-off walk, the Mariners leave no doubt tonight. They defeat the Anglers 7-3. They tighten it back up for the race for the 4 seed in the East, as Chatham now has 14 points and Harwich has 13. Mariners just a half game out. Falmouth putting up some runs once again. They are pounding Bourne, top of the 6th at Doran Park. Commodores lead 11-3, a Hunter Steinmetz grand slam, the big run in that inning. And Marty Bakina has 2 more extra base hits with 2 more driven in. He continues to absolutely rake. The only other game taking place on Cape Cod so far tonight, I believe it has gone final at Eldridge Park. It has indeed, 5-1. Orleans defeats Brewster. Firebirds have now run 8 in a row. 5 runs seems like not enough for an Orleans team that had put up 39 in their previous 3 games coming into tonight. Firebirds have won 11 out of 12. They're the first team to get to 12 victories on the Cape this season, as they're now 12-6, and they stay in first place in the Cape League's Eastern Division.
All right, Matt, time to look at our starting pitching probables for tomorrow's inaugural trip to Spillane Field this summer. You just mentioned Justin Montgomery's stellar numbers for Wareham. His teammate Justin Glover, the lefty out of the University of Georgia, similarly stellar numbers. For Glover so far, through 3 appearances, he's pitched 13 innings, has allowed just 2 earned runs and just 9 hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks for Glover. The 6'2", 190-pound southpaw, again out of Georgia, just finished up his freshman season for the Dogs, and he's looked really good. Already a 2-0 record for Glover through 2 starts, 3 appearances for the Gatemen so far this summer. Another guy that's looked really good, another southpaw, Zane Collins, will make his 3rd start of the summer for Cottuit. So far for Collins, a 1.86 ERA, a 2-1 record, 13 hits allowed in 9 2/3, just 4 walks and 8 strikeouts. And of course, last time out for Mr. Collins, last Tuesday at Harwich, 4 1/3, no runs allowed, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. The Wright State Raider certainly trending upwards tomorrow, or trending upwards now, I should say, for Cottuit. Hopefully he continues to trend upwards tomorrow for the Kettleers at Spillane Field.
All right, Will, on behalf of yourself and on behalf of the entire Cotuit Kettleers organization, my name one final time has been Matt Rigby. Pleased to bring it to you tonight along with Will Greer. Final score one more time from Cottuit, 11-8. The Kettleers victorious. They move to 9-9 on the season. And as Will just mentioned, the inaugural trip to Spillane Field tomorrow night as we get going in Wareham at 6:30 is the first pitch. 6:20 or so is when the broadcast will start. Have a good Sunday evening, and we hope to talk to you tomorrow from Wareham.